Stand up, New York Giant fans. I can already tell Neo. She's going to be barking all night. She's an Eagles fan, I think. And she's still upset that Carson Wentz got traded. She's already barking. Still barking. You're going to hear her in the background all night, so I apologize for that. But wanted to go live tonight. I was going to go live Saturday. And then I said, well, the Wentz news went down today. Something to talk about. We'll jump into the offseason talk as well. You hear rumors all over Instagram that you guys are pointing me to about Kyle Pitts, and we're going to hear about this all offseason, about guys that the New York Giants may be potentially bringing on via the draft, via free agency, everything else. Made a video today about the potential franchise tags. I got the hub in the waiting room. Just wanted to say hello to everybody before we bring them in. Authentic may be popping on as well. We're going to talk about the Wentz trade. We're going to be talking about the offseason, how this may or may not affect the draft, whether the Eagles will be going after a quarterback. A lot of questions I'm sure you guys got. I keep getting ads popping up. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. What's going on there, Chris Leon? What's going on, Caesar? What? Even I got to deal with the ads. What's going on there, Manuel Man? Thanks for popping on the stream. What's going on, Joel? What's going on, Jesse Bryan? Thanks for popping on the stream, man. What's going on, Big Blue Talks? Deshaun the Koala in the chat. Chris Leon in the chat. Waterfly in the chat. Ryan D. What's going on? Rohan. What's going on? Baruch. What's going on? He says, do the Bucks always lose to the Raptors? I'm not watching the game, Eric, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I appreciate you for popping in. Matthew G in the chat. Santos in the chat. Max in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Max Webster, what's going on? Wang, Kane in the chat. Albin in the chat. Ghost TV says the Eagles are the worst franchise in the Super Bowl history. Brovert, what's going on, man? What's going on, Mizrahi? What's going on, Spencer? Cody Collins in the chat. Max in the chat. Camel, what's going on, my man? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So I'm just going to bring the hub right in. I just want to say hello to everybody. I didn't want to be obnoxious talking over him. So let's bring the hub right in. If you guys don't know the hub, I mean, you should. Going over to the hub. He's got a great channel over there. He told me he was going live. I said, let's just go live together. I'll pop on your channel tomorrow. Hub, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? First things first, is my volume good? Because I had to turn up my mic volume just a little bit. Is it all good?
You sound beautiful.
All right, thank you. I got to be just a little bit quiet, so I turned up my mic volume to compensate. First and foremost, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. What up, Chris? Thank you for having me on. Like he said, I'm coming on tonight. He'll be on tomorrow. I mean, we could just hop right into it, man. Kind of big news today. The second big quarterback move of the offseason.
Yeah, obviously you had the Stafford trade, which the Stafford trade was a shocker to where he went. I don't think anybody thought he was going to go to the Rams. This, I think we saw it coming. I mean, if there was any team he was going to get traded to, Cody Collins, man, thank you so much for becoming a member. Stand up, new member. Thank you so much. If there was any team that Carson Wentz was going to get traded to, it was going to be the Colts. It's a perfect fit. Obviously, Frank Reich is former offensive coordinator. He goes there. They got a great offensive line. They got young weapons. And the most important thing, if you're a Colts fan, they kept their draft capital. They only gave up a third-round pick this year. And this is a team looking to compete to win a Super Bowl. And if you're a Carson Wentz fan or a guy that's a fan of Wentz, I don't think Wentz could have been put in a better spot in terms of going to Indianapolis. And a lot of people said that the Eagles won this trade. And a lot of people said the Colts won. Like, it seems like it's completely split. I think they both won. I think the Eagles were put in an impossible situation to get a ton based on Carson Wentz's contract. I laughed when people said that they were going to get 2 first-round picks. It made no sense to me. But I think they got about max value. And I think the Colts got a quarterback where they didn't give up too much.
To be honest with you, I think both teams came out of this trade with exactly what they wanted. I completely agree with you. The Eagles were not going to get 2. Like, we heard the crazy rumors, like they were in talks with the Bears. They were probably going to get like 2 first-round picks or something like that. Then we heard like the Bears pull out because the Eagles were asking too much. And first of all, the whole Bears scenario in the first place was kind of a surprise to people. Because if we're all going to be honest with each other, I feel like everybody knew Carson was going to move somewhere by the time Week 17 hit, right? And then the most popular spot was the Colts for the exact reasons that everybody says he fits with the Colts. Frank Reich, all that, right? The fact that he went for a third and a conditional second, I did think it would still take at least the first just because he still is, a starting QB, a possible franchise QB. But that conditional second makes sense because I do think he is going to play more than 75% of the snaps, which is what the condition is because the Colts have a great offensive line. So I think it works out for them for that reason. They get a quarterback somehow, some way. They always find a way to find a quarterback when they need a quarterback. I don't know how, but they always do it. And then the Eagles, even though they still got to eat, $33 million in cap space, I think. Yeah. Even though they have to do that, they still get out the whole Wentz situation, which, to be honest with you, since 2017, it just was not a good situation for Wentz since they won the Super Bowl without him.
Yeah, I think he had to get out of there after what happened this year, and obviously when they fired Peterson, I thought there was maybe a chance he could stay because there was obviously a division between him and the coach. But in the end, I think it's the right move. Now, the question I have for you, and we're gonna take some questions from the chat as well. Thank you to everybody for being here, by the way. How does it affect the New York Giants? And the first thing that I thought of was the NFL draft. How could this potentially affect the New York Giants? And the Eagles are picking at 6th. Obviously, potentially could take a wide receiver. A lot of us want the New York Giants to get a weapon. And if one less team is going to take a weapon, that's good. One of these wide receivers may drop to us, or they're Pitts if you're a Pitts fan. Do you think this makes the Eagles more probable and even likely to take a quarterback in this year's draft?
100%. Like I even said it in my reaction video today, well, there's two ways it affects the Giants. One indirectly, one directly. The direct one is the draft. The indirect one, which I'm going to cover first real quick, is their cap space, which was already terrible. It was already a negative $60 million in cap space. You add on negative 33. Now you're at negative $93 million in cap space. And the Eagles literally have to gut their entire team to solve this, in my opinion, unless Howie Roseman really is, as Eagles fans claim, a cap genius, which he obviously isn't because they're in the position that they're in. So indirectly, that helps the Giants because the Eagles, in my opinion, are just going down even more from here because they're just going to be getting rid of people on their roster. And then directly is the draft. I do think they're going to seriously consider taking a quarterback at 6th overall, unless they really think that the team is going to be horrible again this season and they'll be picking high again next year because it just looks like they want to reset. I personally don't think they're a believer in Jalen Hurts. One, because he was wishy-washy his rookie year, but also two, it's the same narrative of every team whenever they get a new head coach. You want your own quarterback in there as a new head coach. So they're definitely going to be considering a quarterback. And I think this just means better chances of us getting a wide receiver. And I already thought there was going to be a wide receiver available at 11.
Yeah, I no matter what the Eagles do, I still think there's going to be a wide receiver available at 11. And I always thought, not always, but after I thought about it, actually, Jake in my Discord, I don't know if he's in here, he's the first guy that presented it to me, and he said he thought the Eagles were tanking to get a quarterback. And then when I thought about it, I said, well, they could trade Wentz. Now they've done that, and it's possible that will be the case. The other thing, and I brought it up on Twitter, and then, Max, I'm going to get to your question. If they want a quarterback, it's possible they can now trade up. You know, they've done this in the past with Carson Wentz. If they're in love with Zach Wilson, say the Jets are like, no, we want to stick with Darnold. We get a ton of good draft capital. Maybe they move up to number 2. They trade away a lot of this draft capital that they just got. And, you know, and they end up with their set quarterback at 2, but then the Jets take the weapon. But regardless, I think that the Giants will get one of those 3 wide receivers to fall in their lap. I'm almost completely convinced of that. I'm sure we're going to get more into that throughout the live stream. But this is definitely a move that could impact the Giants in the draft. And it's certainly a move that I think signifies that the Eagles are in full rebuild mode. No doubt in my mind. And Max, man, thank you very much. He says, what's with the lawyer logo? Sorry if that's random. No, that's cool, man. I have a new sponsor on the channel. I don't know if you watched my video today. I talked about it in my video today, but they're a great sponsor of the channel. I'm not going to get too much into it in this live stream. But Faruqi and Faruqi, they're a law firm that came on. They joined the channel. So I appreciate you for asking, man. And if you want to learn more about them, you can look at my last video today. But excited to have them aboard. So we're going to do a lot of exciting things like sponsored tailgates, things like that. So thanks for asking, Max. Yuri, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Who will be franchise tagged for the Giants? Okay, let's talk about this. There's only 2 candidates that could potentially be franchise tagged for the Giants, Hub, in my opinion, and that's either Dalvin Tomlinson or Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams was franchise tagged this year, and from what I've read, it's going to be $19 to $19.5 million if they franchise tag him for a second time. Dalvin would be, about 13, somewhere around there. Do you think either one could be franchise tagged? Nobody else is getting franchise tagged. You think either one could be franchise tagged?
I think I agree with you. It's going to be between them two, but it's going to have to be Dalvin because of the lower cap space. They lowered the franchise tags as well. I think the usual franchise tag for a D tackle is 15, 16 mil. However much Leo was getting paid, obviously, is that much. The only reason it increases, obviously, for the chat would be because when you franchise tag 2 times in a row, it raises again. But because Dalvin and the defensive tackle franchise tag is actually super cheap this year, like I think even if you were to sign a contract, it would be around 12, 13 mil per year. That makes sense if we were to franchise tag somebody. I'm trying to think in my head, is there any other candidate that we could potentially franchise tag this offseason? None comes to mind.
No,
I
there's
want,
not.
yeah, because like I was thinking Jabril for a second, but I'm like, no, we got him on the 50-year option. Maybe we franchise tag him next offseason, but just going through in my head, nobody comes to mind. And
Yeah,
obviously, nobody on the offensive side currently worth it.
Peppers is a possibility in the following season. This year,
Mhm.
it's either Tomlinson or Leonard, but Leonard would cost you a lot more. But that is an option for them if Leonard Williams goes out there and commands 20 to $22 million and he's playing hardball. Well, Dave could say, "Screw you! I'm going to franchise tag you." And either we could tag and trade you and get something for you, or you're going to play on the franchise tag. So that's an option. Tomlinson's an option as well, but it would be about $13 million, which is probably about his market rate, maybe a little bit higher.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And,
maybe
and
a
you,
little.
you you bring up a good point with Leonard. If we do franchise tag in, I'm completely believing it's going to be a tag and trade scenario because if Leo comes back, we're signing him, and that's just the feeling I get. Like we're signing him to a deal that makes sure he's here for years to come.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And Cody, man, thank you very much, man. Our only threat for the division is Dallas. I mean, I'm not going to go that far. I mean, first off, we don't know what Dallas is going to look like. We don't know if Dak's going to be the quarterback, even though I think he will be. If you ask me right now, I think Dallas is going to tag him again. I can't see Dallas giving him an extension after they wouldn't give him one last year. Now he's coming off the injury, but I think they're going to tag him a second time. That's just my guess. But Washington, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Washington could easily be a threat.
I was going to ask, did we forget about Washington even without a quarterback, so to speak, because Alex Smith was only there for half of the season, and even then it's Alex Smith playing on one leg, and in the playoffs he was playing on 0 legs. Even without a QB, Washington is definitely the biggest threat to this division right now. They're picking at 20th, Tana. You know what's a quarterback that might be available at 20th that honestly would do really well in
Mac
Washington's
Jones.
situation? Mac Jones. They could very well roll into next season and be the kings of the East. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm not ruling out Washington. They got a really good defense. Their weakness right now is the quarterback and the offensive line. But they got a great defensive line. They're definitely a threat too. The Eagles are done, in my opinion. Even before this
For
trade,
at least like the next 3-4 years, at least.
definitely next year. I think we could all agree on that. The Eagles are not, in my opinion, not a threat next year. I think it's a 3-team race right now. I think it's the Giants, the Cowboys, and Washington. So hi, man. Thank you very much, man. What's up, y'all? What do you guys think of free agency? Running back McKinnon, the guy that used to play for the
Jet, right?
no, McKinnon was
No,
was
I'm
the
saying
guy.
his name is like I think his nickname is Jet
Oh,
McKinnon.
Jarrett McKinnon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a running back for the 49ers and the Vikings before that, I think. As
Mhm.
Saquon's potential backup. I mean, all right, I'll talk about that. My personal opinion on free agent running backs, unless they're coming really cheap, first off, I'd like to bring back Gallman. Like, if we could, if it's affordable.
What do you think he's going to sign for?
Here's the problem I have with Gallman and why I don't think he's going to be back. And I say it all the time. He's going to be 26, 27 years old. It's his last opportunity to get a pretty solid contract. He's approaching really the tail end of his prime for a running back. I mean, they usually tail off around 29 or 30. So this is really his last chance to get a decent contract. It's why I don't think he's going to be back with the Giants because I don't think it'll be in the budget. And I think there's going to be somebody that's willing to give him a moderate rate, $5 million a year for 4 years. And when you're paying Barkley the amount of money that we're paying him, even before the extension, you're talking about a guy that was the second overall pick. He's making $10 million a year at the running back spot. I don't think the Giants could afford to invest that much money into the backup. So, in my opinion, unless you're going to get a guy really cheap, like an older veteran, similar like we did last year, bringing in via free agency, I think you're better off drafting Saquon Barkley's future backup running back. I would love to have Gallman back, or I would love to sign a more established backup running back, but I don't see it in the cards.
Exactly.
Maybe you get an older backup that's okay and draft one as well, but I don't think you're getting a big name backup running back.
I completely agree with you, and obviously I want Gallman back. I mean, I made merch out of the dude for crying out loud. I would love for him to come back. It would be a bad investment if he doesn't. No, I'm kidding. I don't really care about that. But I agree with you. Gallman's probably leaving the Giants. I'm not really, if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting on him coming back. The guy I really want for us is Mark Ingram for many various reasons. I think Ingram is the perfect 2 to Saquon's 1. He's that perfect. What have we been looking for, my guy? We've been looking for that power back that could take the hits, that could just run through the tackles, spell Saquon a bit. Mark Ingram, former number 1 running back, former Alabama running back, connection to Roach. By the way, he loves Roach. Burton. Is it Roach?
Burton Burns.
Yeah. What coach is Roach? Why am I thinking Roach? Anyway,
when he signed here, when Burns signed here,
the guy raving about him was
Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
You there?
Yeah, I'm there.
I thought you were breaking up. He added Saquon, and he said he was the greatest coach he ever played for, Burton Burns. So yeah, I that's the one connection here. I wouldn't mind bringing Ingram if it was for
don't forget his dad. His dad played her.
Right, of course.
Mark Ingram Sr.
If it was for a really cheap price, I wouldn't mind. That's the type of guy I wouldn't mind bringing in for $1.5 million, $2 million. But
you know why I think it could be really cheap? Because he knows that he's a backup at this point in his career. Like that's what he's been for the past 5 years. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely possible.
That's the only type of backup I'm signing. It's got to be a guy that's affordable. Otherwise, I try to draft one in the 5th round and pay him nothing. Mm-hmm. Josh, man, thank you very much, man. Chris, should the Giants bring back Kyler Fackrell? If it fits the budget, I'd love to have him back. He proved last year he fits the scheme. He's obviously a guy that Patrick Graham wanted on the team. I'm all about it. If he's willing to come back on a, say, 1-year deal, similar to the contract he signed last year, I'm all about it. And I don't think he would get much more than that. It's not like he shined. He was okay, but I think it makes sense for Fackrell to come back. What?
We paid him, $3 million?
It wasn't much. It maybe $3-4 million, but it was a 1-year deal. It wasn't much.
Yeah, if we do sign him back, it's probably going to be $1 million more or something, maybe $4 million a year.
Yeah, I have no problem bringing him back on a 1-year deal as long as it fits the budget. Is more of like a depth guy. Obviously, you figure you're going to have Carter and Zimenez back. You may draft an edge as well, but on a cost-effective deal, I see no harm in bringing in Kyler Fackrell back.
Mm-hmm.
And Ayub, man, thank you very much, man. Carson going to have a better season than DJ. Book it. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. He should. I mean, you can't go to a better situation than the Indianapolis
He's in
Colts.
One of the best situations right now. He's all about Indianapolis. Indianapolis' defense, Chris. I think that's the most underrated part of their team. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have a really good, solid wide receiving core that they're probably going to, improve this year with the draft. They have one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines. They got a good running game with Jonathan Taylor. Indianapolis is set.
And they got a great play caller. Like he obviously has shown in the past that he's got great chemistry with him. Wentz got put in a perfect spot. I think DJ is going to be good this year, and we're going to talk about that in the stream. I'm actually a DJ believer this year, and you're going to see that this year. I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton Manning. I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady, but I do think DJ is going to take a big step up this year. I really do believe that, and we'll talk about that more throughout the stream. But I think Wentz is in a perfect situation. Like if Wentz is ever going to flourish, Hub. And by the way, if my mods could drop, not that I have a ton, I got rid of the mods, but if my mods could drop the Hub's channel, I will be on there.
Is that dude still messing around? I know this is like the third time
he blocked. I had another guy block like 300 people again, so I started over. Now I only got like 4 mods again. I don't know what's going on with that, but if you could drop the Hub's link throughout the stream, thank you so much, Dart. If you could do that, we'll be over there for about an hour before I go on with Bad Dog tomorrow. So I told.
I remember back in even when I was watching you in 2019 was the first time it happened. This is like 2 years straight now. That's crazy.
Yeah, you get trolls, man. You get trolls. And Mike, man, thank you very much, man. Eagles are 100% taking a quarterback at 6. They said they're going to be open competition at quarterback. They can't afford one in free agency. I'm not going to say 100%, Mike. You don't know, but I am going to say it's very likely. And I thought it was likely even before they traded Wentz. So now that they did it, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't, but I definitely wouldn't be shocked if they did. I'm leaning that they're going to. But we'll see. We're going to find out how much they believe in Hurts, and obviously Sirianni's going to have a lot to do with that.
Shout out to Mike, by the way.
Mike's the man. And there's the Hub's link right there. Thank you for posting that, Dire Giants fan. If it was you're Sirianni, you're coming in, you want your quarterback, right? You don't want to be forced a second-round quarterback on your lap if you could pick one at 6th overall.
Exactly. Man, like I said, think about the chances teams have to pick at such a prime spot for a QB, especially when we consider at 6th, 2 guys could be there. Well, one of them definitely is in Trey Lance. But if, for example, Justin Fields falls to 6 overall, because I think it's going to be Lawrence and Zach Wilson going first. So if Fields falls to sixth overall, I think it's a no-brainer move for the Eagles to go and get him.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think I could even see them trading up, like I said. And Max, man, thank you very much, man. Chris, I've asked the hub, but haven't asked you yet. In your opinion, even if it's just for depth, which he should be, is Cam Fleming a must bring back? I wouldn't go as far to say a must bring back, but if you, again, much like Fackrell, if you get him back on a really cheap salary, and maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know what the going rate would be for him. I'd like him back. I mean, he's played with these offensive linemen before. He's a good swing tackle. It also depends on what your plans are in the draft. Like, if you plan to draft a tackle, you let him walk, in my opinion. If you plan on drafting a tackle in the first 2 or 3 rounds, you let him walk. But if you plan not to, or if maybe you let him walk if you feel like you could get a more affordable swing tackle to fill his role this year, maybe you let him walk that way. But I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back. But it's definitely not a slam dunk, in my opinion, to bring him back, if that makes sense.
It's like you said, it 100% depends on the contract, but it also depends whether we're going to take somebody else in free agency or the draft. Because you look at free agency, everybody hated on Cam Fleming this year. It wasn't because he was a terrible player, because we brought him in to be depth. We hated Cam Fleming because he was starting over Matt Peart. That's the only reason. But he's a good depth tackle, right? There's not really any other depth tackles out in free agency this year. When I take a look at it, that I'm like, you know what? I'd like to take them, but it does depend on the price. So I could see why he would say it's a must bring back.
I thought Fleming, for the price, much like Remmers the year before, played better than we gave him credit for. We just wanted him out of there because we wanted to see Peart. But I actually thought Fleming played as about what you would have expected. He played okay. And I think he's fine to be a swing tackle if you want to bring him back in that role. I personally think, and I want to get your opinion on this, I personally think the New York Giants could easily be taking a tackle in this year's draft early in the draft. I'm not necessarily saying first round. It could be, though. I wouldn't be shocked. First 3 rounds, they're taking an offensive lineman, whether it's a guard or whether it's a tackle, but I think it could easily be a tackle.
If we're taking offensive lineman first 3, I'm thinking guard or center. I'm definitely thinking one of those.
That you would fit if you believe in Peart.
Mm-hmm.
If the Giants believe in Peart to be the starter next year, I 100% agree with you. But let's run, because I've been going through this scenario in my head lately, Hub. Let's say the first 3 receivers are gone. Matt Slater, Rashawn Slater's there. Giants could take him. You think the Giants? I think they could take him. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
And here's the thing. They could take him. In that scenario, they probably should take him. Here's why it's not going to happen. I think the Giants, and they really should move away from this. They're really into the optics now. They're really into worrying about how fans are going to react. Fans, like most of the fan base, are not going to love taking a tackle 2 years in a row with the first overall pick. Even though, say, all 3 receivers are gone, both of the corners are gone. Because I think if a corner is there, we're taking a corner, right? At that point, yeah, kind of makes sense to take Rashawn Slater. Can you imagine Thomas one end, Slater the other end? Our tackle positions are set, and we could definitely let go of Fleming. And, we got Matt Peart as the swing.
And then you go get a wide receiver in the second round. I think it's an option that a lot of people aren't talking about.
What do you think about the optics thing, though? Do you think I might be overreacting about that?
I'm going to be honest with you. A good organization shouldn't care about the optics.
Mm-hmm.
A good organization shouldn't care what the fans think, because the fans are wrong just hopefully more than they are. That's what you hope for as a fan of the team. So I think organizations who listen to the fan base too much get in trouble. You do what Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman feels is right.
That's why I hope they move away from that.
Receiver. Yeah. We all want a wide receiver. We all know Danny Jones needs help, but I wouldn't be crying if we got another great tackle. John, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, we need someone to still line up next to Blake. What do you guys think about signing Gerard Davis or Matt Milano? Do you also think we will sign Reddick? Okay, let me start with Reddick, and then we'll get into Milano, who's a guy that a lot of people like, the Buffalo Bills linebacker, who's actually underrated in coverage. He's pretty good. I'll start with Reddick. Okay, Reddick to me, and don't get me wrong, as a cost-effective edge rusher, fine, right? The guy's got 20 career sacks. 5 of them came against us this year. Okay? He had 12.5 sacks this year. He only had 7.5 sacks his entire career leading into this year. And like I said, 5 of them came in one game against the New York Giants, where our offensive line looked completely lost. If you could get him on a really cheap deal, I'm fine with it. Do I think he's a big difference maker? Absolutely not. Do I think Hassan Reddick's going to come in here and be a huge difference maker? No. But he could certainly help the edge rushers. It's not like we have a ton of talent there. If you get him on a really cheap deal, sure. But coming off a 12.5 sack season, Hub, more than likely, I don't think he's going to come as cheap as I would like.
How many of those sacks came against us? What,
Five out
Yeah.
of the 12.5.
So Hassan Reddick,
25% out of his career sacks came against us in that game.
here's the thing. Riddick is a good outside linebacker. I'm gonna say that he's a good outside linebacker. You know who he reminds me of this offseason? But just in the sense of they had a good season stat-wise, but it's like you look at their career as a whole, you look at their season as a whole, and you're like, they're not gonna really replicate that. Romeo Okwara, who we should never have let go of, right? We should never let go of him because he was a second-round pick for us. Okwara of the Lions had, a 10-sack season this year. He's not going to replicate that or be a legit number one edge rusher, in my opinion, even though some people look at him and says, he could be a good, cheap signing that we could bring in and it could help us. It's going to help us, but, like, we're looking for a legit dude. We were looking for a number one, so I don't think it solves the problem.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. The other thing about Okwara, he's more of a 4-3 guy too, isn't he? Okwara? I know we're talking about Reddick.
Linebacker.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, let me double check.
Reddick fits the scheme, but if you get him cheap, sure, but I don't think you'd get him as cheap as I would like. And as far as Milano goes, I like Milano a lot, but again, it comes down to dollars and cents. We have a budget. If you bring in a guy like Milano, you're going to then risk not being able to sign guys like Tomlinson and Leonard Williams. I would like Milano. I think I would sooner try to fill that void via the draft, though, if that was me. But I do like Milano. There's no doubt about it. But I think I try to fill the void via the draft. If I'm going to bring in an outsider on defense this year, Hub, and then we're going to get to Justin's question, I think I'm attacking the cornerback spot. If I'm going to bring in an outsider via free agency, I'm a huge proponent of trying to improve that cornerback spot. And if you're not going to do it in the first round or even the second round, which we very well may not do, because we got to address the weapons on the offense, I think that you need to at least address it by bringing in a Band-Aid second corner. And I like Julian Love, and hopefully he's the guy, but I think we need at least some competition there, some more depth on the outside. A lot of people talk about Logan Ryan. I don't see Logan Ryan as being an exterior corner at this point in his career. So if we're going to bring in an outsider on the defense, I would probably lean towards getting an affordable second corner. You know, I talked about Xavier Rhodes. There's other guys too, but Jackson from the Bengals. There's a number of other corners, but I think that's where my head would be.
I agree. And real quick, thank you for the correction, chat. I mixed him up with his brother. His brother was a second-round pick. Okwara was actually undrafted for the Giants. And, yeah, with the second corner spot, I really want to draft. I guess I'm just a guy that loves to build through the draft, right? I really want to draft every one of our players that's going to be good for us. But if we're spending money this offseason, particularly on the defensive side, it's going to have to be second linebacker just by process of elimination. There's not a real chance of us getting one of those top-tier edge rushers like a Shaq Barrett. He's probably going to re-sign. So I don't see, and we already discussed, there's no point in signing a mid-tier edge rusher. Linebacker, second linebacker. The Giants took so many linebackers last year's draft, and it was really a point of focus of that offseason. I feel like they're going to lean on those guys going into this year. Or if they do get another guy, it's definitely going to be in the draft because it's a pretty good middle linebacker draft. So just by process of elimination, I want it to be cornerback. Also because I don't want to get burned by second wide receivers anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This defense, I've said it for a while now. I think they need stronger second corner play. Like, I don't trust the guys we got on the other side.
And you brought up a good point about competition. I want to enter next year with some level of competition at the spot. I don't want to just hand it to Julian Love because he had a game and a half of good play.
Yeah, exactly. And Justin, man, thank you very much, man. Did you see DJ had a 90.7 PFF grade with a clean pocket? I did not see that, but I did see that DJ had a really good PFF grade this year. I think he was the most improved Giant. There was an article that came out on that. He had a near 80 PFF grade. He was
also the best deep ball thrower in the league.
Yeah, in terms of accuracy.
Yeah.
Now, a small sample size, if we're being fair. He didn't throw a ton down the field, but I like DJ. I'm not going to go too much by what PFF says. I think here's what I'm going to say. I think if the Giants do the right thing this year, they get him what he needs, and that offensive line matures, I don't know what his statistics are going to be. I'm not here to predict that. I'm not going to tell you he's going to make the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to tell you he's going to throw for 4,800 yards, 50 touchdowns. I think if you give him the supporting cast next year, I think he's going to win games against good football teams. I think he will take a step forward as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think Jones started to show you that he was taking a step forward as a quarterback in the NFL before he sustained the injury. I think he had like a 2-game spurt there, Hub, where he was starting to really show you that he was grasping the offense.
And also, by the way, shout out to Lestat. He dropped in my discount code for Manscaped in the chat. Thank you, Lestat. Another great supporter of like everybody's channel.
Yeah,
DJ was actually, and somebody in the chat said DJ actually worsened in his second year. I think we could both agree. He improved in a lot of aspects his second year. DJ really did improve as a quarterback for the Giants. He got sacked a lot, yes. His pocket presence, and this is always the toughest one to argue, but his pocket presence did improve when you look at it as a whole. His decision-making did improve, even though it was also simultaneously one of the things we nagged on throughout the entire season. Look at his decision-making week 1 to his decision-making week 17, you could see an improvement. Look at the way he scans the field week 1 to the way he scans the field week 17, you see an improvement. He improved in a lot of small things. The fumbles, he cut his fumbles in half.
The ball security was much better.
Exactly. The interceptions, even though he had more this year, I think, than he did his rookie year.
No, he had less. He had 10 and 12 his rookie year.
Okay. Half of those, let's be honest, were because of like Evan Ingram and dudes batting the ball or dropping it into the hands of the cornerbacks, were they not?
Yeah, I would say, we'll say at least 4 out of his 10 interceptions came off of Evan Ingram's hands. And then out of his 6 fumbles, if you go back and think about it, one of them was a pitch to Evan Ingram against the 49ers that bounced off of Evan Ingram's hands. Another one was the fumble by Wayne Gallman where it was right in his hands and he fumbled it. Another one was essentially a Hail Mary because Evan Ingram dropped the pass against the Eagles the drive before. So it was like 15 seconds left on his own 25-yard line and he got hit. So he got much better in terms of ball security. What we need this year is for the stats to meet the improvements that we saw on the field last year. We need him to hit the big plays. We need him to put up more points and to limit the mistakes kind of like he did last year. We need both to meet in the middle. And I think if they get him what he needs, the second year in the offense, not just for him, but everybody on the New York Giants, I think it's going to happen. I really do. I think he's going to have a pretty good year for the New York Giants next year. I'm going in optimistic with DJ.
I completely agree with you, and you know why, and I'm going to let you get to the Super Chat. Because of that guy in the profile picture of the Super Chat. If that guy could stay healthy, we're in really good shape.
I'll tell you what, man. People don't give Saquon... Well, we're going to talk more about Saquon Barkley, I'm sure. We're going to get more into that. Cade, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, you think Leonard could take a pay cut if the Giants offered to bring back Dalvin too if he was willing to take a pay cut? Do you think Leonard... Here's what I'm going to say about Leonard Williams. And I like Leonard Williams, and Leonard Williams is a great player, and I hope he's back with the New York Giants. But what I'm going to tell you, what I've learned about Leonard Williams since he's been here, Leonard Williams, and I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. I don't think I did, but sometimes the chip... I almost did. Okay, good thing I looked on my phone. What I'm going to say about Leonard Williams ain't taking a penny less. He ain't taking a penny less. The second he got here, the first time around, before he even had the great year, word leaked that he wanted to be, an upper echelon paid defensive tackle. Now he had the year where he had an 11.5 sack season. He's not going to shy away from that now. He's going to take his opportunity to make as much money as he possibly can. And if the Giants aren't able to come to an agreement, I would franchise tag him. I would. I would play hardball. And we should know Dave Gettleman, with his time with the Panthers and his time with the New York Giants, Landon Collins, he ain't going to overpay. He ain't going to care that he traded for Leonard Williams. If he feels like Leonard Williams is being unreasonable and is not worth the money that he's trying to command, Gettleman's going to let him walk. He did it with Landon Collins. So I think he's going to have a fine line in the sand. I think he's going to have a number that he's not willing to go over. And if Leonard Williams isn't willing to negotiate, he won't be back with the Giants.
Before I get into it, shout out to Diggy in the chat. Another great content Giants creator that the chat should definitely check out.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and have him on with us tomorrow as well. Usually, past couple Fridays, we've been on doing the draft stuff. To Leonard Williams, what's the first thing he said when he came here, man? He's like, I'm looking to get paid like Aaron Donald. And he's maintained that throughout his entire stay with the Giants. The one time he didn't say that was this offseason. Well, it's not the offseason yet. Was back in January in a press conference when he said, it's not about the money, it's about the respect. And I don't believe him.
Well, what does that mean, though? Money
Yeah.
is respect.
The reason I don't believe him is because, like, that's the first time you gave me that message. Every other time you speaking, you talking 20 million. And
Right.
to be fair to Leonard Williams, as a defensive tackle, he was second only to Aaron Donald in every defensive stat that you looked at this year, right? He was above guys like Chris Jones, above guys like DeForest Buckner. He was there. But Chris, I think we both agree there's just something about it. We don't believe it's gonna happen again, or we just don't think he is actually with the stats. I don't know why. Am I going crazy? Like, why is it that we don't believe that? Because I'm not willing to give him 20 mil either.
I don't think you're going crazy at all. I would be reluctant to give him $20 million, to be honest with you. And I want him back. I'd be okay with giving him $19 or $20 million if it was a short contract. Like a 3-year deal. And you could get out after 2. But he ain't going to do that. I think he's going to strive for 5 years. And I think he's going to want at least 19 or 20 mil. And
what do you think about
there, that's tough, man.
I saw a rumor, and it's not really a rumor. It could actually happen, saying that a lot of free agents this year, because of cap space, are going to take a short 1-year deal and then explore the market next year. What do you think about that? And do you think Leonard could go that route?
Well, if that's the case, you franchise tag him again. He gets his $19.5 million fully guaranteed, and then he hits the market again next year. And in the end, that might be what happens. If you remember last year when we were talking about Leonard Williams, nobody was really talking about the franchise tag. Everybody was talking about, we're going to have to extend him to a long-term deal, and then we ended up tagging him. We were hoping that we wouldn't have to tag him because we thought the tag was worth more than his market value, and they couldn't come to an agreement on a long-term contract. So I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. I don't think enough people are talking about that. I could see Leonard Williams getting tagged for a second time. I really could. But we'll see. And Yuri, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, Darrell Williams, we should get him and drafted him. Here's what I'm going to say about Darrell Williams, Yuri. I've been on YouTube now for 3 years. This is now the 3rd year where Darrell Williams was a free agent, and people say that every time, and we've never signed him. I think he signed now 2 1-year deals. This now his 3rd time he's been a free agent in 3 years. He was coming off an injury the first year. I think he played pretty well this year. I wouldn't rule it out, but it seems like we're always linked to him, and we never sign him.
Yeah, like first it was him and Solder. We got Solder. Then last year who was the top tackle other than him last year? I can't remember. But it's been 3 years in a row.
Oh, Conklin.
Oh yeah, Conklin. It's been 3 years in a row. I don't really see it happening. I mean, like I said, we both agree. We think the O-line is going to come through the draft anyway. And if we sign any offensive lineman, it's going to be a depth or swing piece. So I don't think Williams is really in the plans just because of the money, but also because of the way that they've been building that line.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I mean, I guess I would never be shocked if you get him really cheap, but I don't think you're going to get him really cheap. And Juicy, man, thank you very much, man. He says, do you think that depending on how the draft goes, that the NFC East is wide open with every other team lacking a definite quarterback one going into the season? Yeah, listen, first off, Juicy Talks, the first thing I'm going to say is it's impossible to really give you a full prediction until such time we see how the offseason plays out. We don't know Washington's quarterback, everything else. But what I'm going to tell you is, yes, I think the NFC, outside of the Eagles, I'm being honest, I think the Eagles are in rebuild mode. Outside of the Eagles, I think it's wide open. I think the Giants are going to be capable of winning it. I think Washington's going to be capable of winning it. I think the Cowboys are going to be capable of winning it. I'm assuming, Juicy, and I think you probably agree with me, kind of like we said earlier, Dak's going to be back. I think they're going to franchise tag Dak. I think he'll be back with the New York Giants, with the Dallas Cowboys, rather. But who knows what quarterback he's going to be off the injury. But that would be the best quarterback in this division if he's back. But even Dallas, even if Dak is back, their defense sucks. They're beatable. So I think it's a 3-team race, and I think it is wide open.
Yeah, 100. Ooh, did you freeze? Did I freeze? Okay, I'm back.
I'm good. I don't know if I've frozen your end, but I'm good.
All right, bet. So it's like the question said, 100% depends on how the draft goes. I mean, I'm going to kind of roll with what you said. I think the Eagles are the only team you could really rule out now. And even then, it's iffy just because of the way the NFC East goes, but it really does depend on how the draft goes. I mean, Washington, I'll never count them out because they were a good team without a legit quarterback. And Dallas, I don't know. Just like Dak is going to be the story of the offseason for them.
Yeah, right now I think it's Dallas, Washington, Giants, and I think it's going to be that way going into the year, pretty much regardless of what happens this offseason. I think all 3 teams will be in play to win the division. Mm-hmm. And got Isaac, and then we're going to pull up Johnsy, man. Isaac, thank you very much, man. How would you feel about Pitts if he fell to 11? Huge red zone target. I personally like him over all the other receivers in the draft. I don't know if you mean that as in the top 3 or after the top 3. But if you mean all the wide receivers, I'm going to disagree with that. I know some Giants fans agree with that. There are definitely some Giants fans that have him better than any receiver in this draft. That I will disagree with. But what I'm going to tell you is I'm not going to cry if we get Pitts. I mean, Pitts would definitely, like you said, help in the red zone. To me, he's just as much a wide receiver as he is a tight end. He's definitely a weapon. He's taller than Evan Ingram. He's a better prospect than Evan Ingram ever was. So that's not going to scare me away. But I personally would rather go for a more traditional wide receiver. That's just me. So that's just me. But am I going to cry if we get him? No. But I would not. Jamar Chase, to me, is far and away the best receiver in this draft.
I've been praying to every God I know, and before they shut down the combine, I had plans to go there and sabotage Jamar Chase's combine so that he would fall to 11. But it ain't happening. Jamar Chase is 100% the best weapon in this class. But with Pitts, people think I hate Kyle Pitts. The reason people think I hate Kyle Pitts is because I don't want him for the Giants. Kyle Pitts is a great receiver, right? I agree when people say it looks like he's a receiver playing tight end, because sometimes it really does look like that. My thing with Kyle Pitts is if we take him and we're putting him at tight end, that's a bad decision because he can't block to save his life. If I'm taking a tight end that high, I want him to still be able to do tight end things. One of those tight end things is blocking. Pitts is terrible at that. If we take him, we move to wide receiver. My problem is, unlike those top 3 guys, I don't think he's beating NFL level number 1 cornerbacks. He could beat number 2 and number 3. I don't think he's beating the number 1 guys though. And that's why I'm like, I'd rather take the more traditional wide receiver. But like I said, I don't hate Kyle Pitts. I just don't think he's for the Giants. That's my thing on him.
Hey, we'll see. He would definitely help in the red zone, so I definitely get that part of it. That's somewhere where that we really struggled this year. And we know that Jason Garrett's scheme, even though I think a lot of us don't think Garrett's going to be here long term, revolves around the tight end. So I definitely get the attraction by some Giants fans, and he's a great prospect. But I personally would rather go for the more traditional wide receiver. Johnsy, man, thank you very much, man. He says, I think Gettleman goes with a curveball and gets Pitts at 11, even if Waddle and Smith are available. I'm going to give you a curveball, Johnsy. I don't think Pitts is going to be there.
Who do you think takes him?
I think somebody's going to. I don't know who. I think somebody's going to take him before we're up.
You know who should?
Well, a lot of people had the Eagles with Sirianni. But now, good chance they take a quarterback. I could easily see Carolina taking him if they don't go quarterback. I could see the Bengals taking him, but I think they're going to go tackle. There's a couple of candidates. What do you think?
I think it would be the most Jerry Jones thing ever if he takes Pitts at 10. I really do.
I'm going to tell you what, man. And I know that the Cowboys have a ton of offensive firepower, and he would even add to it. That would be a dumb pick. That would be a dumb pick by the Dallas Cowboys. They got more weapons than they know what to do with.
Things ever.
If you're the Cowboys, you got to go one of 2 ways this year. You got to go corner or you got to go tackle. That's it.
Or possibly edge. Kwity Paye.
Yeah. You could go edge as well. Good call. But they can't be taking a playmaker this year.
Wouldn't you be happy if they did?
I'd be ecstatic if they did. Just like, even though, I think a lot of Giants fans don't, and rightfully, I understand because we want a wide receiver. But I'm going to tell you what, if the Eagles take a wide receiver this year, it'd be the dumbest thing they could ever do, in my opinion. The Eagles are a team that's rebuilding. You don't draft a receiver 6th overall if you're rebuilding. So even though we may be upset as Giants fans because we're hoping one of those wide receivers dropped us, if the Eagles take a wide receiver, I'm kind of going to be happy. I think it would be a really stupid pick by the Eagles. And it's the same thing for the Cowboys. Their defense is horrendous. Their offensive line is getting up there in age. They have an opportunity to fill in more important needs, especially for a team like that with the weapons that they have. I think either one of those teams, if they take a weapon in this draft in the top 10 picks, it's foolish.
And speaking of the Eagles, since you brought them up real quick, I don't feel bad about it, but they're kind of coming into a spell of bad luck because their perfect pick, in my opinion, would have been Michael Parsons. And obviously, I don't think Parsons is going anywhere in the top 15 anymore. So they're just getting bad luck after bad luck, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. Lou, man, what's going on? Love LA, Lou, man. How you doing, buddy? He says, hey, Chris, yo, Hub, wondering how you feel about the Rose trade now. Talking about you're a Knicks fan, right, Hub?
Me?
Yeah. And Wentz will bounce back with the Colts. The Eagles are about to fade. Rose came all last night. He played bad. It was really his first horrible performance. I think he was like 0 for 10 or 1 for 10. It was really bad. Shot up an air ball from 3-point land. I still like the trade. We didn't give up anything. So, and I think the second unit outside of the last game has been playing really well. So I still really like the Rose trade. I think it definitely helped out the bench. As far as as Wentz, and then I'm gonna let you answer that as well. Bouncing back with the Colts, I completely agree with you. I wouldn't be shocked if Wentz is a Pro Bowler this year. Because of he's in a perfect scenario. I talk about it all the time, Lou, that quarterback being successful has as much to do, in my opinion at least, with the situation he's put in as the quarterback himself. And when you get a quarterback with talent like Wentz has, which I don't think anybody would dispute, I think a lot of it was mental. The fact that, they got a statue outside the stadium with Nick Foles. Then they go and draft his quarterback in the second round. Then him and his coach are going at it. I think Wentz gets a fresh start. I think he's got a coach he's comfortable with. I think he's got a great offensive line. I think they're going to draft another weapon in the first round. And I think Wentz is in a perfect situation. I think Wentz can have a big bounce back year.
So first thing with the Knicks and Rose, before the trade went down, I was really worried about my guy, Emmanuel Quickly, and how this would affect his playing time and whatnot. After the trade went down, I was immediately like, oh, this wasn't a bad trade because we really didn't give up anything. It was like we got Derrick Rose for free. And then for the first couple games, it worked out really well. Him and Quickly were out there on the court at the same time. He was getting Obi Toppin going, which we've been waiting for the entire season. Obviously, he had a bad. I think he was 1 for 10 or something. Yeah, he had
one for 10, and Quickly was bad too last night.
Yeah.
They were like 1 for 20 combined. It was really bad.
So that's why I'm like, you know what? You're gonna have bad games. I look at Rose. It's funny. I look at Rose the way I look at Logan Ryan. Derrick Rose is to the Knicks, what Logan Ryan is to the Giants.
That's
just
a pretty good comparison.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm just like, yo, I like it. Like, let them do it. Go ahead. It's not like we gave up anything for him, so I'm with it. And then on Carson Wentz, I second everything you said. And I think the most important thing is that he won't be killed every time he drops back with that O-line.
Yeah, I think Wentz is in a perfect spot. And Evan Ingram, man, thank you very much, man. He says, Chris, you have summoned the Pro Bowl. Oh, God. It hurts me to read that coming from Evan Ingram.
Every time since he got the Pro Bowl selection, every time I talked about him in my streams or if I was calling a game, I was like, and there goes the Pro Bowler Evan Ingram. Dropping passes, man. Dropping balls like it's puberty out on the field.
How in the world? I still can't get over that he made the Pro Bowl.
Over Robert Tonyan, too. Like, I get that tight ends were injured, but Tonyan still existed.
Tonyan had 10 touchdowns, didn't he?
Yeah.
He had 10 touchdowns, and his team went 13-3. Like, you would think he would have gotten the nod. Juicy, man, thank you very much, man. Pitts reminds me of Ingram, but with less drops. See, I think he doesn't really remind me of Ingram when I watch him play, but I'm going to let you go. You go ahead first.
I'll say this, and I wanted to go first because people still think I hate it. Like, I don't get it. I don't want him for the Giants. It doesn't mean I hate him. He's a great prospect. He's not Evan Ingram. He is way better than Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was never thought to be at one point a top 10 player in the draft. And Evan Ingram never did for Ole Miss what Kyle Pitts did for the Gators. Kyle Pitts was their weapon.
Yeah.
He is way better than Ingram, all right? I'll say that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Evan Ingram, to me, he was faster. He was more of a wide receiver. This guy, to me, he's more built like he's tall. I think he's a bigger presence, I feel like, on the field than an Evan Ingram. They're not the same type of player to me. Kyle Pitts, to me, is a better prospect. He's taller. Not quite as fast, but I just think he just looks like a better prospect when I watch him on the field.
Joel Yaddo brought this up to me. Joel Yaddo said even though he plays tight end, he reminds him in terms of like size and the way, like you said, presence on the field. Joel said he reminds him of Plaxico Burress, and I was like, it's interesting comparison.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad comparison at all. People say Darren Waller, but yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad comparison at all. I think that's why a lot of Giants fans are drawn to him because they see that 6'6" guy that could box people out in the red zone. And Kato, man, thank you very much, man. Do you think Leonard would take a pay cut if the Giants offered to bring back Dalvin 2?
Isn't this the same question you asked last time?
I think maybe he's trying to get me to admit to convince me that he would take a pay cut. I'm gonna tell you what, Caden, right now, and I would love for him to take a pay cut, and I'm hoping he does, and I'm hoping he and Dalvin are back. You could come back to this stream and tape it and tell me I'm dead wrong. I would be shocked if Leonard Williams takes a pay cut in any way, shape, or form. To me, and I'm not blaming him. It's a business. You get what you can. Leonard Williams is going to try to get every penny that he can. That's who he is. He's going to try to get every single penny.
I just saw Evan Ingram's second super chat, and I gotta say, I love Evan Ingram, not the player, but whoever runs this account is legit because he's been supporting like every Giants YouTuber, and the dude's amazing.
I'm going to have to check that out in a second. Papa, man, thank you very much, man. What do you think about getting a wide receiver in the offseason and Kyle Pitts? I think you mean in free agency and Kyle Pitts. Listen, if they
And
get a
which
guy
one,
like,
isn't it?
yeah, he didn't go specific, but I mean, that would definitely help. I mean, Curtis Samuel's an option, more affordable guy than maybe you go out and you get a Kyle Pitts, and that really shores up your weapons. Here's what I'll say. If the Giants decide to do that, if they decide to spend the bulk of their free agency money on a wide receiver and then spend their first-round pick on a weapon, I don't want to hear Giants fans bring up drafting weapons in the first round for at least 2 years. Then you go out and fix the rest of the team. If you're going to spend this offseason doing that, I'm fine with that because we got to find out what we have in Daniel Jones. But then you got to shore up the rest of that offensive line going forward, the defense and everything else. Would I cry if they did that? No, I don't. I completely understand the thinking. We had the 31st ranked offense last year. Daniel Jones had nobody to throw to that was creating separation. So I would understand it. If they go out there and let's just say hypothetically they're able to bring in a guy like Allen Robinson or Kenny Golladay, which the only way I see that happening at this point is a tag and trade. I'm not spending a first round pick on a weapon personally. I would sooner go out there and try to shore up another hole in this team. If you're going to invest $18 to $20 million in a wide receiver, I would shore up another hole in this team personally. I don't know about you on that one.
That's why I really don't want to spend $18 to $20 million on a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because it's so much, it's a lot of money, man. Just draft a wide receiver. That's all I'm going to say. Please just draft a weapon. It's so much better. Like, you get them for 4 years on a cheap deal. You know what I'm saying? It's drafting them. They become the hometown kid. Like, I really don't want to sign a weapon, even though I realize that by signing a weapon, you get a way more proven commodity.
And it gives you more freedom
that.
in the first round.
Mm-hmm. But
more freedom. Yeah.
That's why I'm just like, just draft somebody.
Yeah. I'm with you. Zaib says, can you guys do a quick third draft pick for the Giants off your head? Third round? Is that what you mean?
I could go first if you need time.
I'm not gonna give you a name off the top of my head, but what I'll tell you is, I think Wyatt Davis is more of a second round guy. That's a guy I got my eye on in the second round. But what I'll say is, I've got that round pegged more than likely for an interior offensive lineman. I know a mock had Creed Humphrey. A center or guard there, especially if you don't go in the second round offensive line. Third round to me is a hot spot for an interior offensive lineman. That's probably where my head is at right now, unless, of course, you addressed it earlier.
So I'm just going to kind of go off of what I had in my mock draft, which, by the way, shameless plug to anybody that didn't check it out. Check out my Giants-specific mock draft. A lot of work into that one.
You did great with that. That was fantastic.
That 2 weeks of just pure editing and animation, bro. Took a long time. But just off the top of my head, I went with Smith, and maybe it's a bit outdated, but I do think Smith might be available. In the second round, I went with a corner who since has declared back to Clemson, which is kind of sad. So replacing with Eric Stokes out of Georgia. I know we don't currently like Georgia cornerbacks because of DeAndre Baker, but this guy's really good, and at least it's not going to be a first-round pick. And then in the third, I'll go with the linebacker out of Michigan, who I'm blanking on right now, middle linebacker, that I think could really fit our defense. And let me pull him up. I don't know why I'm blanking on him.
Who's the there's another middle linebacker I really like that's going in the second round. I'm blanking on him too. What the hell is his name? I should know this one. It's escaped me right now. I'll think of it as we go along. But there's another linebacker I like in the second round. But third round, I'm personally am either interior offensive line or, like you said, a corner. That's what I'm looking at.
Cam McGrone. Cam McGrone's the guy out of Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah, 6'1", 236. Really tough guy. Really can fill in that second middle linebacker spot really nicely.
And John, man, thank you very much, man. Been reported Leo's agent wants $20 to $25 million a year. I'd rather let him walk and sign Shelby Harris if we miss out on wide receivers in free agency. Do you see us signing Hunter or Smith? Oh, you're talking about Janu Smith or Hunter Henry? Is that who you're talking about, the tight ends? I'm not paying him $20 to $25 million. So the first thing I'll say is that, and he could want that. Doesn't mean he'll get it. but I ain't paying that. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Not unless it's like I said, I'd go as high as 20 on a 3-year deal with the ability to get out after 2. I'm not signing up to a 5-year deal for that kind of money. That's crazy talk to me. As far as the other two, here's what I'm gonna say, man. It's great to say, yeah, you could sign a good tight end like that, but I think they're gonna get too much money. What's the name of the guy that went to the Browns this year? The tight end that was from the Falcons.
Hooper.
Yeah, Austin Hooper. He got ridiculous money. And when you're the best tight end on the market, like these two individuals are, they're going to get the same kind of money. So personally, do I want to spend $14, $15 million on a tight end? No, I don't. I'd rather draft one. So I'm going to say no to both of those individuals. You got any difference of opinion on that?
But obviously, if Leonard wants 20 to 25, I'm letting him walk too. Shelby Harris at defensive end on the Broncos, right? I mean, I don't really think it would be necessary because we got Austin Johnson from the Titans last year. It would be kind of like another Austin Johnson type signing unless I'm severely underestimating Harris's abilities. And then for the wide receivers, he meant Hunter Henry, right?
I'm assuming he meant Hunter Henry and Geno Smith.
If it's Hunter Henry, if we let go of Evan Ingram, I could see it happening, but Hunter Henry's kind of a top tight end right now, so that's a lot of money that I'm not sure if I want to put into that spot. And then Jonnu Smith is somebody I actually haven't thought about at all. Very interesting name to bring up. So I can't give an answer, but I like that he brought it up because I didn't think about him at all.
I've actually thought about him because a lot of people have brought him up to me. But again, I think he's going to get Austin Hooper like money, and I would not commit that kind of money to him, just like the Titans won't. So
look at this goat. Look at this goat right here.
Evan Ingram, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, yeah, Pitt's not me. He's going to be a bust. Book it. Evan Ingram, don't ever compare yourself to Kyle Pitts again. Don't ever compare yourself to Caden Smith again. Okay, Evan Ingram?
You know what's kind of sad? He's legitimately the most sure Giants bust we could also say was a bust of like the past 5 years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is he not a bust?
Let's talk about that real quick. The article that came out by PFF saying that Saquon Barkley was the worst pick by the New York Giants in the last 5 years. Now, I try to be as unbiased as I can on this channel. Some people didn't like that I even came out and said that, yeah, I thought it was a mistake. Not because of Saquon Barkley, but because of the point where the team was when we drafted him. We didn't have the team to support him, and running backs have a short shelf life.
And I don't disagree with you, but I mean, that's the gift of hindsight, right?
Yeah, gift of hindsight. But what I'm going to get at is it's not even close to the worst pick. Taking Evan Ingram, and I'm not saying Evan Ingram doesn't show spurts, but we were not in the place to take a tight end in the first round that couldn't block. When we had no running game, we had no offensive linemen, we had a diminished pass rush, and we went out there and we drafted Evan Ingram. That was the worst pick. Eli Apple was the worst pick. DeAndre Baker trading up for him. I couldn't believe I think it was for clickbait, but
I just realized how you put Saquon above Baker just for the fact that Baker's already off the team. Like,
yeah, and you traded up to get him.
Yeah.
And how about Nate Solder trading away JPP, trading for Alec Ogletree? Like, we've made some pretty bad moves in the last 5 years. So I don't know how that was up there. Jay Rodham, man, thank you very much, man. Trade down to 11, Marshall or Bateman in the bottom of the first.
I would love Bateman.
Bateman.
You know what's my dream scenario, Tana?
What?
We trade down to around this 18, 19, 20 range. We obviously swap first rounders. We get an additional second, maybe a third, and in the future a sixth or something like that. Whatever it's gonna take, bro. I'm taking Bateman. I'm taking a defensive player with the first second round pick, and with the second round pick because I'm so comfortable. I'm taking an offensive lineman. Third round, maybe I go wide receiver again. You know how much doors that opens? It's not gonna happen because that's like the dream scenario. But
and Gettleman never trades down. Gettleman never trades down. But no, I'm with you. I like Bateman a lot. He's most people's fourth wide receiver at this point. He's 6'2", really good wide receiver. He'd be a good get if you could trade down, like you said, to that 20 range, like where the Bears are picking. That could be a really good fit. The only way I could see us being an attractive spot, though, because that's what you always got to think. Like when you do these draft simulators, you're like, oh, I got this offer. See, the Giants could do this. No, that's not the way it works. The only way I could see the Giants being an attractive trade situation is if one of those 4 quarterbacks fall to us. And then a team sees the 49ers maybe, and we don't know yet. Maybe they move on from Garoppolo at that point, but maybe they see the 49ers and say, they may draft said quarterback. They may draft Trey Lance. Let me go up and get him. But now that the Eagles, we think, could very well take a quarterback, I think it makes it even less probable that there's going to be a quarterback that falls to us at 11. So I really don't think we're going to be in a spot to be trading down. I hope we are.
I completely agree with you. It definitely depends on if, because I don't think Fields is getting to 11, so it would depend on if Trey Lance is there at 11.
Yeah, exactly. And Edward Ashman, thank you so much, man, for the $2 super sticker. It says vibes, man. I appreciate that, man. And what's going on there, Juicy, man? Thank you very much, man. Let me pull this up as well. And once again, thank you to everybody for being here. If you haven't done so, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. And I guess I'll mention my sponsor channel real quick. Probably should have done that. Faruqi and Faruqi, you could go into the description below if you need a lawyer. Check it out, guys. And what's the? Oh yeah, it's up there too. Yeah, I didn't even realize. Juicy, man, thank you very much, man. He says, let me rephrase. Kyle Pitts is what Ingram's ceiling should be. Pitts is better than Evan Ingram. Is good, not great. Pitts just not at 11. Yeah, I suppose. I think Pitts' ceiling. I just think Pitts' ceiling is higher than Ingram's ever was.
I guess I understand what he's saying.
Yeah,
kind of.
Ingram definitely has a very high ceiling. He's just never come close to meeting it.
Yeah, I definitely kind of understand what he's saying. I just don't think it's fair to compare it because they are two different styles of play as well. But definitely, I 100% agree with the second part. Just not Pitts at 11.
Yeah. And Andre Lopes, man, thank you so much, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the channel, my man. Gonna have a member stream on Monday, so check out the community notes. Isaac, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. He says, do you guys think the big problem with the O-line is the talent or the lack of continuity? That's my only problem with drafting a lineman in the first. I think it's both. I think it might even be more to do with the lack of continuity, to be honest with you. But that you knew that was going to happen because we drafted a lot of offensive linemen. You had a lot of turnover like we've had in the past. And I've been a big proponent of saying we got to keep it together. But the one thing I'll say, Isaac, and then I'll let Hub talk about it. The one thing I'll say about the offensive line is I don't think we have the 5 guys in place yet. I don't think we have a finished product. So that's why I say I think it's a combination of the two. I think it's hard to say, especially with how you saw the New York Giants handle Will Hernandez last year and the way that Lemieux played in terms of pass protection. It's hard for me to tell you that we definitely have got our 2 future guards. It's impossible for me to tell you that we have our future right tackle. I think Peart could be. There's no way I could know that. And Nick Gates at the center spot, I think, I'm pretty convinced he's going to be a starting offensive lineman for the Giants. But we don't have our set 5 yet. It's why I think we need to continue to draft offensive linemen. But I think it's a combination of both.
The great point about the continuity is that it's not just with the players; it's with the coaches as well. I made a video on Monday called "We Need to Talk," which is the start of my new series on the channel. And
I watched that video. That was cool. It was good.
Thank you. The first episode was about Andrew Thomas. One of the points I brought up about Andrew Thomas is just in the 2020 season, there was no consistency at the offensive line coaching position. We went through technically 3 offensive line coaches this year, from Mark Colombo to Joe Judge, because he took over at some point and he was in charge of that for like 3 or 4 weeks, to Dave DeGuglielmo. That's 3 different coaches, 3 different philosophies right there. At the coaching position, there has been no continuity. And if you look at guys like Will Hernandez and Kevin Zeitler, who's been here before this year, we had Hal Hunter before them. So there's 4 coaches. So it's not just in the players, it's in what they're being taught as well.
Yeah, great point. Great point. A lot of turnover on the coaching staff. And Joseph Cooper, man, thank you so much for the $1 donation. And Zuhaib says, I meant a quick 3-round mock draft. Oh, I misread it, man. Sorry, man. I thought you meant 3rd round. You know what? All right, 1st round, I'm going to go with the same guy I've been saying, and maybe I'm going to look like a fool. I think Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith's going to fall to us. And right now I've got the New York Giants getting him at 11. It's honestly what I think. 2nd round, I don't know if he's going to be there, but I'll go Wyatt Davis in the 2nd round. I think we go with an interior offensive lineman. I don't trust our guards going forward. And then the 3rd round, like I said, at that point you wouldn't take Creed Humphrey. I'd have to think about it. It would be a corner for me there, though. I think I would go corner there. Off the top of my head, I can't give you the corner that I would take there. I'd have to think about it. But those are my first 2 rounds as of now. I'll go Smith and I'll go Davis if he's there. I'll go with a guard.
Yeah, I'll go with the same thing I said earlier, just to restate it. Smith, who as well, I definitely think the Giants could take at 11. In the second, Eric Stokes out of Georgia, corner, and in the third, Cam McGrone out of Michigan, linebacker.
So there you go. Josh, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, what's up, Hub and Entertainer? What's going on, Josh, man? Thanks so much for popping in the stream, my man.
The best Dolphins fan out there.
He is. Actually, I got a couple of really good Dolphins subscribers. Taco, he says, if it's 190195.
Oh, I think he's talking about cap space.
Oh, good call. I would have never gotten that. You're right. What's your offseason prediction? All right, I'm going to give it to you right now. I'm not going to give you the exact names, but I'm going to give you my offseason prediction right now. I think we're going to get an affordable receiver, not that expensive. I'll go with Samuel. I think in the end we get Samuel for about $9 or $10 million, maybe 11. I think we're going to bring Leo back. We might overpay for him. I think we're going to bring him back. And I think we franchise Dalvin. There's my prediction. And maybe a moderate corner. If they have the funds to do all that, they'll do it. If they don't, maybe they let Dalvin walk and they bring in a corner. But I think I have a feeling, Hub, that they're going to address corner in free agency. The name you're throwing darts at a board. But I don't know if it's I don't think it's gonna be the highest of end corners, but I think it's gonna be a respectable corner that they feel confident putting in there opposite of Bradbury.
The usual cap space is like 200 mil, right? So 190, 195 would be an absolute dream come true because that would be the space before we cut some guys, before we restructure some contracts. So that would be pretty cool. It's funny. I've looked at a lot more draft stuff than I have offseason stuff, so I'm actually kind of pulling a blank on free agents, except for the wide receiver position.
Well, you got the corners. You got Jackson. Everybody loves him from the Bengals.
Both of the Jacksons, actually, JC and William.
Yeah, William. That's the one everybody loves. There's a couple of others. He's the most popular one, but I think they're going to get a moderate corner. That's my bold take in free agency. I think they're going to get a moderate corner.
If it's 190, 195, we're definitely getting some type of weapon. I can't tell you what. But because that's so close to just a regular offseason cap, we're definitely going to get a weapon with 190, 195. I think we might get some O-line depth. You know what? I'll say that. If it's 190, 195, we re-sign the entire defense and we get depth players, maybe a weapon. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay. What do you think about, why does the name escape me right now? The wide receiver formerly from the Chargers. He went to the Raiders. He got cut.
That guy, I know who you're talking about.
Why is it Tyrell Williams?
Yeah, Williams.
What do you think about Tyrell Williams on a cheap deal?
I wouldn't mind
because obviously everybody wants us to say Allen Robinson, this guy, that guy. And I am not telling anybody in the audience right now that if we sign Tyrell Williams, I'm not drafting a wide receiver. But as a third or fourth option, if you get him on a cheap deal, he's 6'4", he's had success before, some injury problems, but he's still relatively young. What do you think about him as a cost-effective wide receiver?
Has to be cost effective, and I wouldn't mind it. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like sub 10 mil.
Oh, definitely sub 10 mil. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 mil on a 1 year deal, 2 year deal with it. Yeah.
At that point, why not? Because when he left the Chargers to go to the Raiders, he was supposed to be, if not their number one, like a number 2 type of weapon for them when he was with the Raiders. And like you said, injuries kind of got in the way, performance issues and whatnot. I would not mind if it's for 5, 6 mil. And like you said, if we get him, it doesn't mean we don't draft a wide receiver. And I've said the same thing about another wide receiver, who I also made a video on a couple months ago in Curtis Samuel. And that's looking like, since I made that, what was that, back in beginning of January? Like the rumors are now ramping up that Curtis Samuel might be the guy we sign. I said, if we sign Curtis Samuel, it doesn't mean we're not taking a wide receiver in the draft. Because Curtis, at the end of the day, he's a really good receiver. He's not the killer instinct number 1, but he's 100% better, in my opinion, than any receiver we got on the roster right now. And he's the definition of a weapon because of you can use him outside, you can use him inside, you can use him at running back. He got the 4.2 speed. He has some of the best hands in the NFL. Everybody talks about Allen Robinson. The guy right behind him in terms of all the catch percentage stats, in terms of all the contested catch stats, is Curtis Samuel. Like,
he's also great, and he's great in separation too.
Exactly. Like, people really underestimate what he could do. He's a great weapon.
Yeah, I did a video on him as well when I did my wide receiver free agency video, because I think he is very possible he's going to be here. It may not be my first choice, but if we're speaking realistic and not playing fantasy free agent, I think it's very possible he's we could sign him. He ranked in the top 10 for an individual season, I think, in 2019 for separation. Since like 2016, he's like in the top 10 for a single year. So
And he's
that's
doing
something that we
all
always
this.
talk about. Our receivers don't create
Yeah.
separation.
And he's doing all this in a pretty good Panthers wide receiving core as well. I'm talking about putting up like he had great, stats in terms of touchdown, in terms of yardage. He's doing that with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson on the outside. That's a solid wide receiving core that the Panthers had.
Yeah. And Taco, man, thank you very much. We need a number 1 wide receiver, period. Galladay is realistic. Well, the only way you're getting Galladay, if these reports are true, is a trade. You're not going to be able to sign him. If they tag him, you're going to have to trade. So, sure, he's realistic. If we're willing to give more than anybody else, then he's realistic. I don't know how realistic you view that, or probable that you view that, but sure, I guess we could trade for him. Then you're going to have to take on the salary, and you're probably going to have to give up a second-round pick. That's how I look at that, Hub.
With the whole tagging situation, this came out yesterday. I think the only way we get them is going to be through trade. Like
trade.
You said,
that's it.
It has to be through trade. I know you said you think that it increases our chances. For me, I feel like it decreases our chances just because we only got 6 picks, and we're kind of going to be struggling to fill in all our needs with just 6 picks.
Yeah.
But like, I can still see where you're coming from.
What else? When I say it increases our chances, I still don't think it's very likely at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just think if Galladay and Robinson hit the open market, they're not picking us, period. So the fact that now you have to trade to get them, it gives us a slight chance, in my opinion, because if the Giants are willing to give up more than other people, they'd be able to get them. But I don't think they're coming here. I don't think we're getting either one of them if I had to pick right now. And Fix the O-line, man. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, Parsons would be the best first-round pick since LT and Eli.
We talking Micah Parsons lurking in the locker room, Micah Parsons?
He's a big fan of Micah Parsons, as am I. In terms of a player, he's incredible. He's a really good player. The only thing you worry about there is his coverage skills as a linebacker. Didn't do that much at Penn State. But in terms of a prospect, the guy would be perfect. He's versatile. A lot of people feel like he might be the best edge rusher in this class, and he's not even listed as an edge rusher. Like you said, the one thing you worry about is the off-the-field stuff that's leaked a little bit, whether or not there's validity behind it.
And you got to be honest. Like, the stuff that they were talking about in these articles are actually, like, horrendous. Like, it was terrible.
If it's true, he's falling. If it's true, and we're not going to get into it, but if that stuff is true in the articles and you guys can do your own research, he's dropping in the draft. I promise you that, Hub. I promise you that, man, if it's true. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody. And once again, thank you to everybody for being here. And if Dire Giants fan could drop the Hub's link again, if you have the opportunity, I would appreciate it. I'll be over there tomorrow. Be sure to check them out. Thank you for popping on, Hub, man. I wanted to kind of have some Giants YouTubers on, talk about Wentz, dive into the offseason. Haven't done a Giants live stream in a bit. And I'll definitely have a Q&A with you guys where I talk to the chat exclusively, maybe in a week or two. I'm going to be doing that a lot as free agency heats up, so I'm really looking forward to it. But wanted to pop on with the Hub. Love the Hub, man. He's a great guy. Been on his channel several times, and thank you for coming on, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me on, man.
Thank you for thanking me. And Chicago says, do you guys think there are any players on the roster who could be traded for more draft capital? I mean, Ingram.
I was about to say, does Ingram and Tate count, even though we might get, like, not the greatest draft capital for them?
Tate, I don't think you get nothing. I don't think you'd get much at all for Tate. Ingram, you could get something.
There is one guy that's not in our mind right now because we both want to keep him because of how much he means to the team. Kevin Zeitler. He's definitely going to be worth something, but I really, really do not even want to entertain it.
Zeitler, maybe you get a little... Yeah, you get something for Zeitler. The thing is, he makes a good amount of money. I want to extend Zeitler. I've talked about that because it lessens the cap hit for this year, and I have no problem keeping Zeitler around for 3 years. Like, if you could extend him, and, I think he's making 14 this year. If you could extend him, say, to a 3-year, $30 million deal, and you pay him 8 this year and then, 11 over the next 2, to kind of match the increased cap, and maybe it's not much of a dead cap hit in the 3rd year so you could get out of it after 2, I think that's the way to go. I would like to keep Zeitler on this team. I don't want to trade him.
He's our best lineman, man.
He's our most reliable offensive lineman right now, and I think a lot of people just think Shane Lemieux's, he's going to be fine next year. How in the world, after watching Lemieux play,
pass block.
How could you be confident with Shane Lemieux going into next year? How? I don't claim to be a film buff. Okay? I watch the games on TV. Shane Lemieux can't pass protect. And I'm not saying he can't grow into that, but he's a 5th-round pick. Okay? A lot of 5th-round picks never become starters. We're talking about trying to get Daniel Jones weapons and keeping him on his feet and being able to throw the ball down the field. Well, if you can't block, I don't care who you get at the wide receiver. We're not going to do anything on offense this year. So I'm with you. I think we need to keep Zeitler.
Zeitler also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but one other thing other than him being our most reliable, he's the only veteran presence on the line right now. We were talking about the veteran presence where we
and continuity.
Yeah. We briefly mentioned that presence with Ryan on the defense. You need somebody like that on the offense. So,
yeah. And Zahai, man, thank you very much, man. Can you guys talk about this year's draft and the Giants' first 3 picks? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we could talk about it. I'll let you start, Hub. And I guess maybe it's hard to know right now because we don't know free agency and what they're going to do. But I guess like their biggest needs in the first 3 rounds. What are you looking at?
I'm glad you kind of rephrased it because it 100% depends on what we do in free agency. Our biggest needs in the first 3 rounds, wide receiver. I guess I'm gonna add if we don't get this in free agency to everything. But if we don't get this in free agency, corner. If we don't get it in free agency, linebacker. The reason I'm not going edge,
it's kind of a combination of free agency and the first 3 rounds. This is what we need to do. Yeah,
and even though it technically should rank above everything else, edge. The reason, and this might be a bit controversial, that I am not targeting any edges this year is because of 2 things. 1, I think we could survive without them for 1 more year. And 2, I think the market is too dry, too like not good enough, too average, both in the draft and free agency. And that's not what we need. Like, if we can survive 1 more year to get to a better market in the 2022 draft and in the 2022 offseason, then I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? With the edge, because I don't want to get another average guy. These guys coming out, I'm not confident in them to be a killer number 1 pass rusher in the draft. And the edge rushing free agency right now, we discussed it. It's like it's a lot of give and take with guys like Hassan Reddick, guys like Romeo Okwara. There's only really one legit one in
Barrett.
And he's almost definitely going to re-sign with the Bucks. Even though it should rank above everything else, I'm not really targeting it. But it's definitely wide receiver, corner, linebacker, and since back to the draft, if we get one of those defensive positions in free agency, you better get yourself an offensive lineman in the top 3 rounds.
Yeah, we're in complete agreement with that. And I wouldn't mind getting an edge rusher as well in the 3rd round if there's a guy that you like. But I'm a big believer, and I know some Giants fans are Greg Rousseau, those rumors are starting to come out. He's starting to be mocked to the Giants. I am never a believer in drafting away from a draft strengths. And especially early in the draft. Later in the draft, if you feel like you could find guys that fit this scheme that play the edge rusher position, by all means. If you get one in the 3rd or the 4th round. But early on in the draft, this is not a draft known for strong edge rusher play. It's just not. And it's a draft known to have strong offensive linemen, strong wide receivers, strong quarterbacks. We're not taking a quarterback. So in the early rounds, I don't believe in drafting an edge rusher, but in this year's draft. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. No matter how you slice it up, we need to take a wide receiver early in this year's draft unless we sign one, a very good one in free agency. We definitely need cornerback play, whether it's free agency or whether it's the draft. And we could use a linebacker, like you said. I think that's what you're looking at. And offensive line depth for sure. And I am always a big fan of drafting offensive line depth in every draft. I think you always need to continue to buff up that offensive line in every draft. So, yeah, that would be my answer.
Because let's think about this for a second, too. I say we need depth, but we vaguely mentioned it. We're not sure about the interior of this line right now. If we're going to be completely honest with each other. We're not. And it's sad to say that because you got the dude, Will Hernandez, who we should be sure about. And he's like one of the more frustrating players when I think about this team because I'm like, Will, I want to love you, man. I want to love you. I want you to be one of the best offensive linemen we got, but you're just not doing it.
No. Yeah, I'm with you on Will. I want to believe in Will. I like Will. But obviously the Giants don't believe in him. If we're being honest up right now, obviously the Giants don't believe in him. And I don't know. I want to believe in him. I like Will, but we'll see. I don't think he's going to get a contract extension with us, though. Manuel, man, thank you very much, man. He says, New York Giants and Washington football team will battle for the NFC East crown 2021.
They should.
I'm gonna throw Dallas in there too, but yes, we should at least be fighting down to the wire for the division next year. I really do believe that. And again, kind of like we've been saying, it's hard to evaluate this team until we see the offseason. But I'm going to tell you right now, like this year, I wanted to express patience because I knew the situation. I knew that we had a brand new coaching staff. I knew we had new schemes. I knew it was a shortened offseason. So I knew we were going to struggle, and I knew we were playing a challenging schedule. The kid gloves come off this year.
Because we outperformed all those expectations.
Yeah, I think we did. But the kid gloves come off this year. I'm not going to baby the Giants this year. I'm not saying that I expect them to win 10 or 11. I'm not going and saying they need to win 10 or 11 games or I'm going to flip out. But this team next year, I'm expecting at least 8 wins in a 16-game schedule, a 500 record at a minimum.
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask, do you have a win total or do you have a goal? Like, do you think the Giants should be a playoff team this year based off what happened last year?
Yes. 8 or 9 wins at a minimum. That's what I expect. And if you miss the playoffs with 9 wins, I'm not going to go crazy. But significant improvement, and I expect them to have more than 1 win against a good team. Like last year, the only good team that we really beat was Seattle. We did beat the Eagles for the first time in forever. We did beat the Cowboys for the first time in forever. But I want to see them beat multiple good teams. And
with the good teams, we always came close, but we couldn't close it out.
Yeah, and this year, I expect them to close it out. I expect them to win some.
You know what, Chris, that relates to DJ? Because what you said about the Giants, I agree with. I also think we need to be at least 500 for me to be kind of satisfied. And obviously, there's a lot more variables in it than just saying we need to be 500. But I guess my base goal is I need to see like 8 wins from this team. But also, it relates directly to Daniel Jones because with me, I'm like, man, DJ, it's your 3rd year. And I got to look at the reality of the situation. Even though I want to keep you for your entire rookie contract and see what we could do, the reality of the situation dictates that if you don't do something in your 3rd year, we should probably move on. Which is why I'm like, if DJ doesn't do something in his 3rd year, I'm talking about kind of a leap in performance, then we maybe will be moving on. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I've said it now since the offseason began. And this is obviously all based off the assumption I think the Giants are going to do everything in their power this offseason to give Daniel Jones the help needed for him. The excuses go out the window for him too this year if they do that. If the Giants draft a first-round wide receiver, or if they sign a wide receiver, the offensive line has another year of continuity. You have another year in Garrett's scheme. You have a full offseason. You have Barkley back, we hope. The excuses go out the window. You need to see significant growth from Jones this year. And I'm not going to just look at the statistics. Like I said at the top of this stream, what I expect from Daniel Jones next year is to beat good football teams. This guy, and to have big moments, this guy has not beaten a good football team yet in his career. And I believe in Daniel Jones.
What did we just say? We get so close, right? One of the reasons we never closed out, Rams had a chance to close it out with like a minute left. Cowboys, the ones that always like bites me in my heart because we legitimately had the ball in DJ's hands with like less than a minute left and he squandered it. Like there was multiple games like that this year. I'm just like, that was supposed to be your moment, Daniel. Damn.
Yeah. He's yet to, and it's not, I don't want it to, people listening, I don't want to make it sound like I'm even mainly blaming it on Jones. I think the team
100%,
around him,
I agree with you.
I think the team around him is bad, but if they do what I think they should do this year and this team gets to a point where I think they should be competing against good teams, I need to start to see him beat good teams. He's yet to beat a team over 500 in his career. And if you go your first 3 years in the league without beating a team over 500 in your career, even if it's not mainly your fault, it's time to reset the rookie clock at the quarterback position. So that's my take on Jones, man. I need to see improvement this year. And it is a pressure-filled year for him. There's no doubt about it. Pressure-filled year for Gettleman as well because he drafted him. Juicy, man, thank you very much. He says, in regards to the O-line, Cleveland showed us what having talent without continuity leads to superstars have talent. Coaching, what makes a Hall of Fame talent? Coaching is what makes a Hall of Fame talent. Well, yeah, so he's saying in regards to the Cleveland showed us what having talent. So he's saying getting talent quickly on the offensive line, drafting Jedrick Wills, signing Conklin. I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. Maybe. But Cleveland had a great offensive line this year. There's no doubt about it. But they spent a lot at the position. We'll see how long they can hold up there. But that's why they were as good as they were offensively. And then Stefanski did a good job as the play caller. But yeah, you need talent. And I think the Giants are starting to accrue talent on the offensive line. I think Andrew Thomas is clearly a very talented left tackle. He went 4th overall in the draft. And we'll see what we do going forward with the offensive line. But yeah, of course you need talent and coaching. G-Man, thank you very much. Do you think OBJ back in New York is a possibility? I'll let you start with that.
I'm going to say no because I don't think it ended off on the best of terms. Now, I'm not ruling it out completely, but I'm just gonna lean no. I mean, I don't know how they did this like kind of start back up because I saw it on Giants Twitter. I've seen it on Giants Instagram as well, and in the chat sections of various YouTube channels. I've seen it. I don't know how it started back up. Maybe it has to do with the fact that him and Saquon are training in the offseason together because they're both trying to get back from their ACL tears.
I think that's how it started up.
One thing people need to realize, him and Saquon have been really good friends, and I got no problem with that. For some reason, some Giants fans do. I mean, let the dude be friends with who he wants.
I could care less about that.
And OBJ was sort of a mentor to Saquon in 2018, so like they have a good relationship, right? So that's probably how it started. I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, the way he left New York and the way the team kind of traded him, I don't think it was a pretty situation, so to speak. So I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, my quick answer to you is no. I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, maybe if it was like a super cheap deal, but I think they traded him for a reason. Gettleman is still the GM. Gettleman's the guy who traded him, and I think they traded him for a reason. And my honest opinion, I think they were worried about how he would treat a rookie quarterback. That's my honest opinion. I think they saw how he reacted with Eli Manning at times, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion. And
by the way, I don't know if you follow OBJ on Twitter or if you just like see his tweets every now and again. He retweeted a stat from ESPN that was basically reminding people how great the beginning of his career was, how he was like on pace with Jerry Rice in terms of yardages and touchdowns.
He had the best start to a career ever, first 3 years.
Right? Yeah, he had the best start to a career ever. He retweeted it, and he was like, just to remind people, and in my head, I'm like, all right, now tell us how much of that came from Eli, bro. Come on now.
Let's give Eli a little credit there. No, but all kidding aside, I think it's a pipe dream. I think a lot of Giants fans who, I get it. You know, he's a fan favorite. He's a guy that a lot of people fell in love with as Giants fans growing up. He's their hero. I think that's why it's even a story. But no, I don't think he's coming back here. Do not bank on that. I don't see it.
If there is somebody we should be speculating on who's going to come to the Giants, because Saquon is training with them, Bud Dupree, because Saquon is also training with him, and I don't think anybody would be complaining about that.
Does have the injury, but yeah. But I think Giants fans would definitely welcome that. John, man, thank you very much. Why do you guys not like Juju? He would take double coverage off of Slate, and I'd rather have a guy like I'd rather get Corey Juju, release Tate, and draft a wide receiver. Shep stays in the slot. I don't think you're signing 2 wide receivers. I don't see that in the budget. If you did that, you would lose. You would definitely probably lose Leonard Williams, and you'd probably lose Dalvin Tomlinson if you signed both of those guys. We're cutting Tate. We're kind of factoring that into the budget. But the reason I don't like Juju is because he's a slot. I think we need an exterior wide receiver if we're going to spend big money. I don't so much mind it with Samuel because he's not going to cost as much as Juju. Even though I don't think Samuel is, exclusively slot. Juju isn't either. But, I think it's because he's going to cost a lot of money and he's not an ideal fit for the New York Giants of what we need at the wide receiver position. The other thing is, you talk to Steelers fans, they were not happy with Juju with some of the things that he was doing over there. So
Corvette.
Yeah, doesn't seem like the ideal fit for the Giants. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like the ideal fit.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's just a no for me from Juju because, one, like you said, I think he's a slot. He's a number one. But then again, even then, it's like weird. It's like, how dominant of a number one is he? Like, is he really a number one? Like, we saw the production go down after AB left, in his second year. And then we saw it go back up after he had another legitimate threat next to him with Claypool this year. It's like, so is he literally a number one? It's more so he's a slot, and then I just don't like the distraction of the TikTok. Like, even after, you would think the dude would learn his lesson. You would think he'd say, maybe I should stop this after you get embarrassed by the Browns, and they go and they still make more.
Right. I just want to say hello to a couple people in the chat because I always like to shout you guys out as the stream is going. Let's just say hello to a couple people in here. Yo, Elvis in the chat. What's going on, Dire Giants fan? Edward, Chan, Connor, Kevin. Try to say hello to all you guys. Obviously, when I have a guest on, I try my best to say hello to all you guys. But thank you to everybody for being in here. Thank you guys for all the support. And let me get to the next one. Chris, what do you think of Zaven Collins? Also, I want to make sure I don't lose a super chat here. No, I think I got it. Okay, and then Allison's next. I just want to make sure I don't lose these on the phone. Okay, we're good. Chris, what are your thoughts on Zaven Collins? And then I'll read JB12 before I lose it. Also, what round do you think he'll go? Also, what are your thoughts on Desmond King if he hits the market? Is Desmond King a free agent?
Yeah, he might not hit the market though, in my opinion. I don't know. That's why he said if, but yeah, King is a free agent. I think he would be a dream CB
Yeah,
two.
he's probably out of the budget if he does hit the open market. As far as Zaven Collins goes, I've heard about him. He's a linebacker, right? He's from Tulsa, isn't he? He's a yeah. What round is he projected to go in? I've seen some highlights of his.
I think he's a second round guy for sure.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about him. I've seen highlights. Not a guy I've really looked deeply into. I'll look more into these guys as the draft gets closer. But I know he's a linebacker. And we could draft a linebacker in the second round. I wouldn't be shocked if we did. But there's another linebacker. Why am I forgetting it? There's another linebacker I really like that's also going in the very beginning of the second round.
I think I know who you're talking about. Is the Nico guy? Is it Nico?
Maybe.
Let me pull it up.
I'll get it before the end of the stream.
I have a feeling I know who you're talking about. But on Zaven Collins, I have like a couple notes on him because I looked at him when I was doing my mock. I think he might be an ideal fit for a 4-3 middle linebacker type situation because he could rush the passer a bit. He could definitely drop back and pass, which is why he'll succeed in a 3-4. I just think his best fit is a 4-3. He could definitely drop back and pass, but he's also could rush the passer as well. Those are like my most common notes on him. He's definitely like that second round type of player.
I might have lost a couple of super chats, guys. I'm sorry. I saw LA Lou talk to me about a couple of Rams. I hope I didn't lose it. He asked about Jamon Brown and a couple others. JB12, I'm going to get second.
I remember that one. What he was saying was 3 Rams we should keep out our eye on was Malcolm Brown, Josh Reynolds, and I forgot the third one.
There was one I like Reynolds.
The one that caught my eye was Malcolm Brown because I didn't know Brown was a free agent. If he's cheap, I wouldn't mind him as a second running back.
JB12 says, do you want Wayne Train back or a late round draft pick? And he had a super chat before that I lost. I apologize, man. As far as Wayne Train, we talked about that earlier in the stream. I want him back, but not for what I think he's going to cost. So if that answers your question, not for what I think he's going to cost. I wouldn't pay him that. Allison, we're going to pull you up, and then I'll see if I can pull up
I think the guy you were referring to was Nick Bolton.
Nick Bolton, that's it. I really like him. I don't think he's going to get to us in the second round, but I really like him. That's the linebacker I like as a potential second-round pick. And Allison, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. Pat Fairmute from Penn State. Yeah, baby Gronk. Yeah, definitely a potential. I have him actually going in the first round. A lot of people don't.
Not 11th, though, right?
No, I got him going to the Bills at 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good pick.
I haven't seen anybody picking him going there in the mock drafts like the experts. But I look at the Bills, and I think I actually said this when I was on your stream. When maybe we did a mock draft together.
Yeah, this was like just last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, but you mocked him to the Bills, yeah.
I think it's a perfect fit there because they have Knox at the tight end, and when I look at their weapons, that's really all they're missing, in my opinion. But I like Fairmute as a second-round prospect, Allison. I think he's a really good fit for sure. I think he's a really good fit in the second round if he's there.
I also see the chat going wild about another really, really good linebacker in the second round that a lot of people love, Chaz Surratt out of UNC, I think. And I've definitely looked at him. I definitely like him. And he's definitely, I think, a real possibility in the second round for the Giants.
That's opinion. Bobby's guy from Talking Giants. He loves him. Mm-hmm. He loves him. Waterfly, man, thank you so much, man, for the $2 donation. He says, sent you an email. Please look at before the member stream. Yeah, Waterfly, I'll definitely check it after this stream. I'll go in there and I'll respond, my man. And let me see if I can pull this up now. Juicy White Man. The problem is the phone is always so far off from this, and I lose a couple of super chats here and there. So, Juicy White Man, thank you very much. He says, Juju is OBJ with 2 times the drama, but half the talent. I don't know if it's 2 times the drama.
I think people forgetting how much we had to deal with when Odell was here, and I don't.
I agree with the half the talent.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an Odell hater because I did love Odell when he was here, but when you look back on it, I'm like, wow, I was really defending this man like every single second of the day, bro.
Yeah, I don't know about, like I said, I don't know about 2 times the drama, but I definitely agree with half the talent when OBJ was in his prime here for sure. But I don't want him here. He's not worth it. He's mainly because he doesn't fit our immediate need at the wide receiver position. If he was a great exterior threat and I got to deal with a little drama, sure. I just don't even think he's an ideal fit here. I think he's a name. That's what I think he is. I think he's a name that is not the perfect fit. And Hot Nichols, man, thank you very much, man. Who is the most ideal hog molly to swoop on free agency? Now that Philly is going to take a quarterback, who do you want in the draft at 11 now? if Philly takes a quarterback, I mean, I'm still praying that Jamar Chase is there, but he's not going to be. To me, it's still a weapon. It's still Waddle, it's still Devontae Smith, or it's still Pitts. That's me right now, depending on what we do in free agency. But I would be completely open to a lot of other possibilities. I'd be open to Surtain. I'd be open to a corner. I'd be open to Parsons if the off the field stuff isn't an issue. I'd be open to a lot. There are so many guys there that I'd be happy with. We have so many holes, and I'd be happy with so many different options with that pick. So even an offensive lineman, like we said earlier. So you can't really go wrong. As far as the offensive lineman, I don't think we're signing a high-profile hog molly in free agency. I just don't, Hot Nickel. Somebody brought up, I forgot who it was.
Williams.
Williams. Darrell Williams. I don't think we're going to spend a ton of money on an offensive lineman. If we sign any offensive lineman in free agency, I think it'll be a depth signing, whether it be a guard, whether it be a tackle. I don't expect us to sign a starter. Maybe a guy similar to last year, like we did with Cam Fleming, like we were talking about earlier, or a guy like Remmers in the past. But I don't think we're going to be spending big money on a starter on the offensive line. I would be surprised. I don't know if you have any names in free agency on the offensive line.
In terms of free agency with the hog mollies, no, I really don't. Unfortunately, in terms of the draft, been saying this since January 13th. Devontae Smith is probably going to be there. I'd definitely take him if he's there.
You and me agree with that, and a lot of people called me crazy in my first mock draft. They said, there's no way. All of a sudden, Hub, and you're right, you were on it as early as I was, maybe even a little bit earlier. All of a sudden, Hub, all the mocks got him falling.
Because guess what, Tana? We saw history. History doesn't always repeat itself, but only 2 or 3 times in NFL history has 3 wide receivers gone in the top 10. I wasn't expecting that to change at all for any reason this year, especially in a draft that's going to be so more volatile because of a lot of players not playing that season and the combine not being a thing. I think that they'd stick on the safer side of history rather than going on the less uncharted part of history, in my opinion. And you talk about you got the heat for yours. When I did mine, there was one comment that stuck with me. And dude was like, I wasted so much time making this mock draft look nice just to say that Devontae Smith is going to be there at 11. I'm like, damn, bro, for real? That's how you going to treat me? Okay.
And maybe he will go earlier. He could. Don't get me wrong. But I definitely think it's more likely than people thought, a month ago.
And the Eagles.
He had the hype. I get it. Yeah. The national championship hype and everything else. But
and I said this in I think I did a stream on Tuesday. I was like, a lot of these players that you see that are like super high right now, their stocks are super high. They're gonna calm down. They're gonna come back down to normal level. It always happens. Players are always going to be really high at some point in the draft, and we're still like 2 months away. That's a pretty long time. They're going to come back down. It's going to level out a little bit more. It happens.
Yeah. And Andre, man, thank you very much, man. Hi, Chris, best Giants fan from Portugal here. I love all my foreign subscribers. I have so many great ones. He says, next season plans, wide receiver or D-end in free agency. So you mean this season, because you're saying re-sign Dalvin. Draft the cornerback / linebacker and solidify the offensive line. Go Giants. Hey, he said everything but the wide receiver, but he did at the beginning, wide receiver D-end. Yeah, you got me. If you could do that, if you could solidify the defensive end, bringing back Leonard Williams and signing a wide receiver, and you re-sign, I mean, I don't know how we're going to come up for the money with all this, but if you're able to do all that, bring back Dalvin, bring in a wide receiver, maybe Curtis Samuel, Leonard Williams, you solidify our biggest need, cornerback or edge rusher, linebacker, and get the offense. Those are our needs, man. In that scenario, you're not doing what everybody wants, which is get a supreme wide receiver early in this year's draft. But I wouldn't be upset with that. If they ended up getting a good wide receiver in free agency, you bring back the defense intact, and then you buff up the offensive line and our other defensive needs in the draft. Wouldn't be the end of the world. I wouldn't cry about it. JB12, you didn't have to donate again, man. Sorry I missed it the first time. He says, first super chat was pay a Rousseau or trade back. So I think he's asking, would you... Okay, I'm going to decipher this question 2 different ways. First way I'll decipher it is, would you take Payer Rousseau at 11 or trade back? Or would you take them if you traded back? My first answer to that is, I do not want to take either one of them at 11. If I had to pick one of the two, I think I'd pick Pie. Or I think, is it Pie or Pay? Pie?
I say Pay.
Pay, whatever it is. I think I'd pick him if we lost Leonard Williams. I think he's a perfect fit if we lost Leonard Williams. So I would go with Pay over Rousseau. I think Rousseau's got a higher upside, but Kwity Paye I would have personally above Rousseau, but I wouldn't want either one at 11. And if we traded back, yeah, I'd be okay with taking them. If we were in the right draft slot to draft them, I would be okay with drafting them.
I'm more okay with taking Pay just because when I look at Rousseau, I see a complete project, and we're not in the position to take a project edge, which the last time we did that was JPP, but we 100% could have afforded it because the Giants were a really good team in 2010, and we had a really good defensive line. So, like, we 100% could have afforded it. I don't think we can necessarily afford it now. I kind of got a question for you. We mentioned Parsons a little bit, and Pay is somebody else that's been dropping a little bit in the draft. What's a player that might be a surprise drop in the first round?
You mean out of the first round?
No, just somebody that's projected to go in the first, and they just drop from like where they're projected to go. Like maybe somebody in the top 10 that drops down, or the top 15 that drops down. That might be a surprise.
Okay. Let me think. All right. And I'm not predicting this, but if you're asking me, that would be a big surprise. I don't know if I want to go that big. I'm going to say one of the quarterbacks. I'm going to say one of the 4 quarterbacks I could definitely see dropping down out of the top 15. One of the 4 quarterbacks. I don't think Zach Wilson. I'll go with one of the 4 quarterbacks. I think
it's either going to be Fields or Lance if it is.
I'll go with Lance. I think it's higher, but the thing with Lance is I could easily see somebody being in love with him because of his upside and even trading up because they're so infatuated with him. I'm not predicting this because of my mock. I'm probably going to have all 4 in the top 10. But if there was going to be a surprise, I would say it'd be at the quarterback position, and one of those guys drop out of the top 15.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see it being a QB because really the only time we had QBs going in like the top 15 like that was 2018, to be honest with you, in recent memory.
Yeah.
Other than that, they were pretty evenly spaced out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna be ballsy and say what's his name?
Fields?
No, it wasn't a quarterback. It was Parsons because of the allegations.
How far do you think he's gonna drop?
If the allegations are true.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think it needs to be true for it to affect the stock because the stock is already affected.
I could see him going late first round, early second if it's bad enough.
If it's really bad,
I don't think he gets out of the first. I'll say 20. I could see him dropping maybe to the 20s if teams are that scared off by it. Yeah, so I guess I could see Parsons too. And Simon, man, thank you very much, man. 2 of the best. Take Kenny G or Corey Davis and Samuel and Free. I'm going to say no. Do you see any way we could sign 2 wide receivers in free agency?
Not a chance, man. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't. Especially with the guys that we have pending free agents on the defensive side of the ball, I can't see us using all of our free agency money, especially when I think you're going to be able to sign to draft a wide receiver if you want in the first round. I don't think it's the best usage of our resources. Kevin says, how do you feel about J.C. Horn possibly at 11? I like J.C. Horn.
That's a little high for me.
Yeah, I like him. I think he fits exactly what we're trying to do with Patrick Graham. He's a press corner. He's physical. But like you said, I think it's high. If we're going to take a corner, and this may change, they may have him evaluated higher than the other 2, but if you talk to most people, they have Surtain and Farley as the top 2, one or the other. I think it's high unless you're taking one of those 2 at 11. I think Horn would be a little too high, Kevin.
It would make sense. We talked about the trade back scenario earlier, and when we take Bateman, trade back scenario also works if we take J.C. Horn in around the 20 range.
I personally think J.C. Horn, unless only one corner is gone by 16, doesn't get past Arizona at 16 because they need a corner bad. And Justin, man, thank you very much, man. Yo, Chris, you ever look up I wrote him down. I have not gotten a chance to look him up. Sorry, you have to super chat. I have not looked in. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat liked him, they said. Yeah, you're a fan of him.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of him. He's definitely the second round corners, and I said this in the first mock draft. I like the corner class a lot more than the wide receiver class because I think it's actually deeper than the wide receiver class. Once you really get into it, You start seeing both of the Georgia guys. You start seeing the Northwestern kid. You start seeing both of the Illinois guys. You see Melifanu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Like, there's a good amount of corners available after the first round that I'm just like, man.
Yeah,
it would
I
fit
remember you
perfectly.
saying that in a stream the other day, or maybe it was your video I was watching. I forget, but
One out of two, who knows?
Yeah, you said that you really liked the second and third round cornerbacks,
It's
and I
just
think
really
that's
deep.
where we're going to be drafting a corner. I think it'll be in the second or third round,
Mm-hmm.
if I had to guess. And JB, man, thank you very much, man. Favorite non-big 3 wide receiver, Bateman. But the other guy that I really like is Rondo Moore.
It took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say I'll throw in Rondo Moore as an honorary mention because I feel like he doesn't get enough attention, maybe because of his injury and whatnot. But Moore is good.
And the guy from Florida, what's his name?
Tony,
yeah, he had a really good Senior Bowl. Kadarius Toney, he's kind of a jack of all trades type wide receiver. But same thing with Rondo Moore. I'm a big fan of Moore, but he's got injury problems. Duran, thank you very much. His trade up for Chase, if he falls in reach, you'd have to give more than a third. If you're trading up in the first round, you're gonna have to give more than a third. At least in my opinion. I mean, if you're saying he falls within reach, that means he drops maybe past the Eagles, and you're jumping from 11 to 7. You're gonna have to give up more than a third to do that. And in which case, no, I'm not. And everybody has their own opinions. I don't believe in trading up for a wide receiver early in a draft. I'm okay with trading up with a wide receiver in the third round, but not early in a draft.
And I'll say this: as much as I love Jamar Chase, and as much as it hurts me a little bit to say, I'm not trading up for anybody in this draft. To be honest with you, I'm staying pat. Like, we can't afford it. 11th is actually a pretty good spot to be right now. We're like where we're at. Like, there's no reason for us to trade up, in my opinion.
Because we're gonna get a good player there, and we don't need to give up draft capital. But I would love Chase, but I personally don't. I don't believe in trading up for a wide receiver. But that's me. Unless if it was for a third round pick, maybe I do. But it would be more than that. If you're jumping from 11 to 7, they're gonna want more than that. And Akeem, man, thank you very much, man. Late round sleeper sit. Yeah, a lot of people like both of them. But yeah, definitely a guy that a lot of people have talked about. Bobby loves the other Surratt, right? But
the other Surratt.
Yeah, but yeah, no, he's definitely got to keep your eye on as well. A lot of people have been talking about him, and I'm probably gonna do my first 7-round mock draft in a week. I was thinking about I got to do more research, but I'm probably doing my first 7-round mock draft in a week, so I'm looking forward to doing that. Now that I'm starting to get into draft mode, it's still hard because I'm kind of awaiting free agency. Because right now, to me, Hub, and it's fun to start to do research and get to know the players. It's kind of irrelevant right now until such time we know.
It's all a crapshoot right now.
It's a crapshoot even after free agency, and you just have better odds.
To be honest with you, and I said this in the mock, I'm like, anybody who denies what I'm about to say is just denying facts. The mock drafts past the first round are always a crapshoot until it actually happens. The first round is already hard enough as it is. There's no telling what happens in the rounds after that. There's nobody smart enough. There's nobody with enough computational power in the world to try and predict it. And I said that in my video as well, but I'm like, the reason we do it is because it's fun. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and you get to learn the prospects,
mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a guessing game, but it's fun. Like you said, it doesn't mean much right now. It's not, to be honest with you, it doesn't mean a whole lot until after the draft. And then that's when you start to really do your research of the players that you landed.
Exactly.
But it's fun to speculate.
Like you think I really thought that anybody that did mock drafts last year, you think that any of us really thought, oh, this is what the Giants are going to do? We were thinking to ourselves, who do we think, the Giants really could get? Because we can't get into our coaches' minds. We can't get into Dave Gettleman's minds. You try to do it, but you really can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like last year, nobody had Darnay Holmes. Nobody had...
Darnay Holmes came out of nowhere.
Yeah, nobody had... Matt Parrott, actually. A lot of people like Matt Parrott.
Yeah,
a lot of Giants YouTubers like Matt Parrott.
I'll pat myself on the shoulders. I had both Parrott and Thomas going to us.
You did, and there was a couple of others that really liked him. I think Kid Blue liked him. I know that Anthony from Fireside Giants loved him. So there was a lot of people that were on the Matt Parrott bandwagon before the draft.
Another guy that I had that we didn't draft, but we did take, and then he kind of fell off, Ben Victor. He never even saw the field, to be honest with you.
McKinney's another guy that I knew about and I liked. but nobody thought he would fall to the Giants.
You know,
in the second round.
when people start hopping on after the first round, and people were like, "Is Xavier McKinney a real possibility?" That one afternoon,
everybody had him going to Dallas at
15
15 or wherever they were picking.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you never know until draft night, man. That's what makes draft night so fun. Charlie, man, thank you so much, man, for love. I appreciate it, man. Just trying to shout out a couple people, man, but I really appreciate it, man. He says, "Come on, people, smash that like retainer." I appreciate that, and subscribe to the Hub. We're gonna pop over there tomorrow. We're gonna be talking a little bit more off-season Giants, man. And D Grant, man, thank you very much. Chris is the GOAT, and Bad Dog looks like a goat. I didn't even read the comment. I appreciate it, man. He says,
"Is it the nose?" Because I've seen that multiple times. That comment.
I didn't even see the comment. I just pulled up because I saw Chris. Grim says, add Corey Davis and Kyle Pitts on the offense. Retain Leo, add Hassan Reddick, and a decent cornerback too from cap casualties, or second or third round. I want to make sure I read all this properly. So he says, add Corey Davis and draft Kyle Pitts for the offense. Keep Leonard Williams, add Hassan Reddick. So you're losing Dalvin Tomlinson, I'm assuming, because you didn't mention him. And add a decent cornerback to either in free agency from the cap casualties, a la Dalvin Tomlinson, or draft one in the second or third round. I think that's a feasible plan, Grim. I think that's realistic, and I think that could very well happen. It might be Corey Davis. It might be Samuel. But yes, insert mid-tier wide receiver, draft weapon in the first round, whether it's Pitts or another wide receiver. Keep Leo. If you lose Tomlinson, you might be able to get Reddick on a fairly... Yeah, I actually think that plan is...
That's very realistic.
Very realistic.
Well thought out.
That is a pretty realistic...
and I'd be down with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty realistic, Grim. Yeah. I could see that. Maybe not those exact players, but those tiers. I could see
the idea that he's going with.
Yeah. And Kevin, man, thank you very much, man. Check out Jonathan Adams Jr. I think you might have. Somebody told... I think I wrote him down. Maybe not. I thought somebody else told me about him. Jonathan Adams Jr. out of Arkansas State. Let me write him down on my prospects list in case I haven't. But I think somebody's told me about him before. But I try to, when I have time, man, I'm always busy. I try to look into these guys that you guys tell me to, and I'll try to.
Yo, me too, man. School started back for me like 3 weeks ago. It's gotten so busy, and it's only going to get even busier.
And thanks for the Twitter follow, Tana. You got it, man. And Sam and Tana, you're the go-to, man. Love you. I love you, man. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. And thank you so much, Justin, man. He says, with our first 3 picks, I went wide receiver, cornerback to right tackle. I'm cool with that.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Offensive
line, wide receiver, corner. I'm cool with that.
I like Justin's profile pic. I just noticed his Penguins. I love Penguins.
I'm a big Penguin guy myself. You're into Penguins?
I don't know why. I just like Penguins. Maybe it's because I saw Happy Feet a lot as a kid. Do you know the movie? I think it's called
March of the Penguins. March of the
Penguins is good too, but is it the Penguin and the Stone or something like that?
Well, the Sword and the Stone.
It's like the Penguin and the Pebble and the Penguin. I don't know if you ever saw the Pebble and the Penguin. That's another one as a kid that I've seen, like an old, cartoon. But there was so many cartoons about penguins back in the day, man. Damn. I don't know why. I like penguins.
No, I never saw that, man. And Max, man, thank you very much, man. He says, headed to bed. Always love your content. All love for both of you, Chris and the Hub. Have a great night. See you later, chat. See you tomorrow on the Hub stream. Max, man, thank you so much, man, for all the support. You keep doing what you're doing over on your channel. He's starting to grow his channel. Go over there and check him out if you haven't done so.
Mic'd up with Max Webster.
And whenever you want me to come on as a guest, let me know. I'll definitely pop on, Max, man. But keep doing you, man. People are asking what's your major. They're not talking to me, so what's your major?
Yeah, and Sam K is also asking if I am in college. I am. Computer science. Sedan Smith commented Linux. I don't know if that was directed towards me, but it's funny because I have a separate Linux computer to do all my computer science work on.
So you're going to school to be a what do you want to be? Obviously, you want to be you want to talk Giants forever, but
I want to talk Giants if I could, right? I don't know yet, but it's looking like I'm probably going to go into data science or data analytics, that type of stuff.
Cool. Nico says, "Who's your?" All right, I'm going to ask. People ask me this all the time. I want to know your top 5. You're a little younger than me, so maybe it's different for you. Who's your top 5 favorite Giants of all time?
In no particular order. Eli, of course. Victor Cruz. Brandon Jacobs. Jeremy Shockey. I mean, I even have a red Shockey jersey. And that 5th one is a really hard spot to fill in. Oh, I can't believe I didn't say him. Michael Strahan. Like, I love Michael Strahan so much. I buy his clothes. He has a clothing line. That's how...
He has a clothing line?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I got 2 sweaters of them.
My top 5 favorite Giants of all time. Eli's far and away number 1. Justin Tuck I actually loved. I'll go with Tuck number 2. I love Strahan. So I'll go Tuck, Strahan, Amani Toomer, and I will go.
And I gotta tell you too, man, he makes some pretty good looking clothes. Like I have one that is a green army green sweatshirt, says MSX. Obviously, Michael Strahan. I don't know what the X is for. 92 NYG. Like he has pretty nice looking clothes.
Maybe I'll have to buy one. And Jacobs would be my 5th. I love Jacobs. John, man, thank you very much, man. My ideal draft is Waddle, Cox. A lot of people like Cox too. Not that kind of Cox, the player Cox. And Creed Humphreys. Yeah, I mean, Creed Humphreys in the 3rd round would be dynamite. You get your center of the future. You move over Nick Gates to the guard.
I think Humphrey, I know he's being mocked there right now, which is definitely surprising. Good. I think he might go earlier just because there's always a team. There's always one team that needs that center, you know?
But there's centers going above him. Like, I've seen like 3 centers are going above him in mock drafts right now. So, we'll see. I hope he drops.
Hey, yo, shout out to Engraven Vids in the chat. Love Engraven. Ravens YouTuber, but also
I was actually watching his channel today. I love Engraven Vids. I was watching his channel today. That guy's awesome. He's like the most positive guy ever. I love that guy. Keep it clean. J-Mo, and I got to work with him soon, man. I got to work with him. Maybe we'll do a mock draft. Maybe we'll do that. We'll have you, me, him, get a bunch of YouTubers, whoever's channel it's on. I don't care. And maybe we'll do like a 6-person mock draft or something. That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Engraven, if you're available tomorrow, man, pull up to the stream tomorrow.
Let's rock and roll. J Moda, man, thank you very much, man. Thoughts about giving up number 11 for OBJ? No. Oh, wait.
He then also went on to say from the Ravens.
I don't get that part.
J Moda, I'll tell you this. I like your profile picture.
I do like his profile picture. Am I not getting? Is that a joke or is that?
I don't know either.
Yeah, I'm not giving up a 1st-round pick for OBJ if that's what you're asking. And Nick the Wick, man, thank you very much, man. Quickly, dribbling, bibbling, shoots from 3, book. You know, everybody loves Emmanuel Quickly. He's everybody's favorite Nick. Can't wait to go to a Nick game soon. And Lucas, man, thank you very much, man. Is Pizzle in here? Somebody said.
He meant Orlando Brown Jr. Okay.
Okay.
And that's why I was like, Engraven said, haha, I like that trade because he did request one.
Yeah. My answer is no. It's gonna cost. It might cost more than that, but my answer is no. I'm not doing it. And I gave my reasoning in my video. It's not even just the trade. It also ties up massive cap space going forward. So it's basically trading away Leonard Williams or Peppers. You're going to have to sacrifice another player on this team if you're going to be paying him the money that he's going to command on the 2nd contract. And you're giving up the 11th overall pick. So my answer is no. I keep building through the draft. We just drafted a tackle last year, 4th overall.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I said basically the same reasons in my Orlando Brown Jr. vid. It's not going to be a win for us, even though he's a really good, great tackle. That situation, that trade is not a win for us.
Yeah. Lucas says, how do you feel about Ingram trade if we get Pitts? Sure, if you could get something decent for him. Otherwise, I have no problem keeping him. Like, if you can only get a 5th-round pick for Ingram, I'll roll him back with Pitts. I'll run 2 tight end sets. I'll move them around in the offense. They're both versatile. I don't like Ingram, but he's still a guy that could create separation. At least he'll drop the ball. But if you get a decent price for him, sure, I'd trade him. If not, he's just another weapon on the offense. But that's my take on it. And Matt's back. What's going on, Mac, man? Thanks so much for popping to the stream. We're going to end this in like a couple of minutes because I actually want to watch the 2nd half of the Nets game. I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, I was low-key about it. I was like, hey, yo, I might dip in like a couple because a couple people mentioned the Nets game as well. I'm like, maybe I have to go check that out. I
don't normally watch any game but the Knicks, but Nets, Lakers, I'll check out.
Chris, I'll tell you this. I tweeted out as a joke at when 2020 ended, not when 2021 began. I was like, the Giants are going to win the Super Bowl this year, and the Knicks are going to win the NBA championship. Last night, I tweeted out another joke. I'm like, yo, listen, if the Knicks continue the way they're playing, bro, we're going to be the 7th seed. We're going to meet Brooklyn as the 2nd seed in the playoffs. So we're going to knock Brooklyn out the playoffs, and I'm going to like celebrate like there's no tomorrow. But I would love it if that happens.
No chance, but we could dream about the Knicks.
Come on, why can't the Knicks with Julius Randle dropping 44 points, IQ and D Rose giving us like what 35 in like 20 minutes. Obi Toppin becoming dark horse, rookie of the year. Come on now, man. Come on. Are you a Knicks fan?
We can make the playoffs. We're not making the finals.
Okay.
Stop. You drank something before the stream. And Ash Money, man, thank you very much. Says, call me crazy, but I'm believing Jamar Chase falls to 11 is becoming more and more likely. I'm going to call you crazy.
I'm gonna need you to tell me, though, like what he sees going on within the first 10 for that to happen, because I really don't think it is.
The only way it happens is if those other receivers jump him.
Yeah.
Like if they like Devontae Smith more, if Pitts goes above him. If both Pitts and Smith go above him, maybe it's possible. But you're talking about a guy who many people said before he sat out this year might have been the best prospect in this draft class outside of Trevor Lawrence. So I don't see it. The guy is literally, I mean, some people like pick on his blocking technique, whatever. The guy is literally like what you want in a wide receiver. He's tall. He runs great routes. He's a good wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver in this draft class, in my opinion. I hope you're right, Ash Money.
Built well.
Yeah, I hope you're right, Ash Money, but I don't see it, man. John, man, you have a great one, man. But Stephen Baker? I got Stephen Baker's autograph. Random.
Touchdown maker?
Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker. And on the other side, I got Joe Morris on a New York Giants mini helmet. Quick story. When I used to be a cable technician, and we were talking, before I YouTube, I always talk Giants anyway. Even when I went into people's houses, I saw they had Giants stuff, and I couldn't stop talking Giants with him the whole job for like an hour. And he's like, here you go, I want you to have this. He gave me this autographed mini helmet. So that's why I have a Stephen Baker and Joe Morris autographed.
Was it a regular customer? Was it a random customer?
Random customer. We were just talking Giants. I mean, he had a ton of Giants stuff. That's why we were talking Giants. That's what sparked the conversation. But yeah, he gave me an autographed mini helmet of the.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Ash Money, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. He says Lawrence. All right, so here's his top 10. Trevor Lawrence, Wilson. He's got Smith going 3 to the Dolphins. Okay, I'm not gonna call you crazy. It's possible. Fields 4, Sewell, very possible. He's got Surtain. I'm not gonna say that's insane, but he's got Surtain over a quarterback, and potentially a
He
wide
still has Parsons really high at 7.
No receiver at 8. I think 8 they could very well go quarterback. No. Yeah, quarterback to the Panthers.
9 is Broncos. 9, listen, they could go Caleb Farley at 9.
If that happens, I mean, like I said, the only way it's going to happen is Devontae Smith is going to have to go above him, and you'd have to have an out-of-the-box pick like Surtain going before him, which I don't think he should. But it's a draft. Crazy things happen. You never know. I'm not picking that. You will not see me do that in my mock draft, but we could dream. We could dream, Ash Money. I'm not going to say it's impossible, though. And Brandon, what's going on? Brandon, we're going to end this in about like 5 minutes. I just saw you pop in, man. Thank you to everybody. I just wanted to go live because I haven't been live on the channel to talk specifically Giants for a while. And, I mean,
with good reason, though. The Knicks game has been entertaining.
Well, the Knicks game has been entertaining, and there hasn't been a lot to talk about. I'm kind of waiting. I know, like, once free agency is getting close, I'm going to be live all the time, especially after free agency, talking about the draft, recapping free agency. But, I saw Carson Wentz got traded today, and I said, I haven't gone live and talked exclusively Giants for a couple of weeks. Most of my subscribers are Giants, and I love talking Giants. So I figured I'd go live tonight with you, talk a little Giants. And I appreciate everybody for being here, but we're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, man. I just had a stroke on my keyboard, Matthew said. Elvis, man, you have a great night, buddy. Chris, if we surprisingly don't get any receivers in free agency and in the draft, Waddle, Pitts, and Farley are on the board, and we take Farley, would you be mad? If we surprisingly don't get any receivers in free agency. I don't know if I'd be mad, but I'd want a receiver at that point. I'll say that. And if they didn't take a receiver in the second round, I would snap my keyboard in half. So that's my take on that. At that point, I think you would have to take a receiver. If you don't address it in free agency, I think you'd have, especially if those guys are on the board. I think you'd have to take a receiver.
You definitely don't want to repeat the last offseason where we just didn't address it.
Yeah. Matt says he's got to make you some more. Matt makes all my thumbnail. The Hub is really good, though. The Hub knows what he's doing, too. But
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah,
I mean, if we talking thumbnails, I'll definitely take that on. I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing when it comes to video making thumbnails. I'll admit I could struggle sometimes with thumbnails.
Matt does good thumbnails. He does good thumbnails. He created this background. Look at this background.
Pretty good one. You know, I
Daniel
really got to
Jones.
get a green screen because I have a very similar, like, really nice background with the players, but I can't use it because I don't have a green screen. I should get a green screen.
Yeah, but Matt's awesome, man. I wouldn't mind some of the new uniforms going into. Everybody always brings up the new uniforms. Let's talk about that real quick before we close it out.
Why do you think it got started? I don't know why, but it's been a topic for about 2 or 3 years now.
I don't understand it. I never hated the Giants uniforms.
There's people that really hate the white ones.
I'm not saying I love the Giants uniforms, but I never like. I feel like
they have a nice even though they're not technically not they just have a nice classy look to them. Like, it fits modern day like trends, and it's still classy at the same. Like, the uniforms are great in my opinion. I don't know why people hate the away ones though, but people really hate the white ones.
I never got that. I'm not saying it's not like I would be upset if we got new ones if they look good, but I guess people just want change. They want something new. But I don't know. I like the classic blue look. I don't know. But,
Matthew G has a funny one. He says we don't need new jerseys because the stadium's already in New Jersey.
Good. Well done, Matt. Well done, Matt. The color rush jerseys I love though. The color rush jerseys are the best.
People have been saying for years, replace our white ones with the color rush, and I still don't get where the hate for the white ones are coming from. Like, one person told me, and I thought this was ridiculous. They're like, "Oh, it's too much red," and I'm like, red is part of the Giants' colors. I get that there's not as much blue as the home ones, but it kind of makes sense. You know, it's the away ones. I don't know.
But guys, we are going to wrap this up. You guys are incredible. I mean, we had, really pretty much over 450, 470 people here the entire stream until the Lakers started, which I completely understand because I'm going to watch the second half of that Nets game on TV tonight. I'm looking forward to watching it. But I want to say thank you guys for all the support that you guys always show on the channel. You guys are incredible. Once again, like I said, huge announcement on the channel this week. Would have never gotten a sponsor if it wasn't for you guys that support this channel. They said the biggest drawing card was the community. Was you guys, and they want to bring that to their platform. So without you guys, things like that aren't possible for me. So, and I can't wait to start organizing things with them. Like I said in my video today, we're talking about trying to do tailgates together, bar meetups. They want to be a part of that. So I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again to everybody for all the support that you guys always show me. Again, to the Hub, I'm going to be over there tomorrow for about an hour before I go on Bad Dog. So make sure you go over there. Hub, I want to say thank you for coming on, man. Always love talking Giants football with you. You're a diehard Giants fan. You got a great channel over there. Thank you for taking a couple hours out of your night tonight and popping on.
Thank you, Chris. 100% had a great time tonight. Chat was amazing. Chat had great questions. Chat was cracking jokes. They were the chat, like you said. The reason everybody's channels grows is because we got these guys watching us for some reason and continuing to entertain us every night in, night out. Chat was amazing. But thank you for having me on, man, and shout out to the chat.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the basketball game if you're going to watch it. If not, well, you'll see us soon. Have a good night, guys.